This is the D6 generation with your hosts, Craig Gallant.
If you're getting any compensation, it's not charity.
Russ Wakeland. Did you put me on a boat with frickin' dragons attacking me and whatnot? Now we're talking. And the GenCon mob in the third chair. Woo! With contributions from Total Fangirl.
Vampires do not sparkle.
And our loyal listeners.
Are you crazy? That's like 400 hours of gamer nonsense.
Welcome to another edition of Rapid Fire, the roundtable discussion of all things gaming, coming at the speed of a raging Boeing 744 with additional speed kit aerodynamic fairings winging its way to sunny Indianapolis.
What?
This edition of Rapid Fire is brought to you by OG Games, the friendliest board game site in the UK. We offer great prices, a huge game range, and excellent service. www.oggames.co.uk.
Today our panelists are Russ Gigas Caput, anybody know Latin, Wakeland.
What?
Nicole Totalis Murado Wakeland, and our esteemed guest, the GenCon Auditor Fidelis Mob. Let's begin. Issue number 1. With the founding of the I'm all about the Olympics lately. With the founding of the modern Olympic Games in 1896, the original 43 events that graced the Athenian fields that summer have grown to over 200 events broken down into sports and disciplines, most of which would be familiar to most people not living under a rock or glued to their widescreen Xbox output interfaces. However, one event, the modern pentathlon, seeks to recreate a scenario rather than an abstract, isolated contest of most athletic competition. Question. The modern pentathlon combines 5 sports that are meant to simulate a very specific scenario, rather than standard athletic pursuits. Give me 3 of the 5 sports contestants in this grueling event are expected to master. Reiner Klimke Russ.
Running, hopping, and skipping.
Wrong. Jean Ning Nicole.
Viking swimming and shooting guns.
Wrong.
What's that? Rifle race.
Alexander Moshelenko Mob. Okay. You are correct! Interestingly enough, and the reason it's my new favorite athletic sport, the modern pentathlon is meant to recreate the trials and tribulations of a 19th century cavalry officer caught behind enemy lines. The athletes are required to first swim, and then fence, and then horse jump with an unfamiliar horse, and then pistol shoot while running. I want to do it right now. Or actually, after the summer I just had, maybe in 2016, I hear Rio is really nice this time of year. Issue number 2. The first usage of the term space cadet is attributed to Robert Heinlein in the 1948 novel of the same name about a young man who joins the Space Patrol to maintain peace in the solar system. The Urban Dictionary, however, defines a space cadet as a person who tends to space out often. He or she does not respond when directly spoken to. The space cadet is not necessarily a person of low intelligence, but rather one who isn't so easily lost in reverie that he or she loses all awareness of the surrounding physical world. Sound familiar to anybody? Question. In 2005,
What?
a British production company brought these 2 concepts together with a hoax reality TV show called Space Cadets, in which a company of contestants chosen for their space cadetish personalities vied for a chance to what they thought was to be the first tourists in space. In what country did these contestants think they had been sent to and were living in during the entire show, and from which they were supposedly going to launch into space? Garrett Reisman Russ.
I'm going to go with China.
Andrian Nikolaev Nicole.
I'm sorry, I was looking at this really pretty badge.
Carl Mead Mob. Kazakhstan. We're going to go with Kazakhstan, which means wrong! The answer was Mother Russia, of course. Not unlike an earlier hoax reality show in the U.S., the Joe Schmo Show, where everyone but the target were actors, all but 3 contestants in Space Cadets were real contestants, and all in the end were given trips to Russia and a flight on the Vomit Comet to experience zero-G. Issue number 3. The Incom T-65 X-Wing starfighter was the primary all-purpose starfighter of the Rebel Alliance and its successor governments. Known for its versatility and exceptional combat performance, it was a favorite with Rebel and New Republic pilots. Possessing deflector shields, a hyperdrive, and R2 astromech for repairs and navigation, and a complement of proton torpedoes, the X-Wing allowed the Rebellion to launch raids in Imperial space with improved odds of a successful mission. Question. Although in the final script for Star Wars 4 A New Hope, the pivotal X-Wing formation was, of course, the iconic Red Squadron, what was the unit's designation in the original versions of the script? Woofy Ra Russ.
I missed it. I turned off my targeting computer.
Captain Nita Nicole.
I have no idea.
Droopy McCool Mob. Somebody said the right one, but I'm going to say somebody said yellow, so that would be wrong. Blue Squadron. So whoever said that, you weren't wrong, but everybody else was.
That guy right there.
Wait.
Okay. Due to limitations of blue screen technology at the time, the blue paint scheme on the models caused the snub fighters to appear as though they were see-through in places, and thus Blue Squadron became Red Squadron, and now we wouldn't have it any other way. Issue number 4. Insomnia is an individual's reported sleeping difficulties. Insomnia is derived from the Latin word somnus, which was the Roman god of sleep with the prefix in for negation. Insomnia is often defined as a positive response to either of two questions. Do you experience difficulty sleeping? And do you have difficulty falling or staying asleep? It can be caused by a variety of conditions, including excessive anxiety, fear, or excitement. Question. One of the most time-honored traditions of fighting insomnia is the act of counting backwards from 100 when one lies in a bed in a dark, quiet room. The night before traveling to Indianapolis this week, your humble commentator attempted this method over 20 times. In the tradition of what is in my pocket riddle, what was the lowest number I achieved throughout all of these efforts before my racing mind defeated me? Deep repose Russ.
93.
Hibernation Nicole.
6.
Motionless Mob. Interestingly enough, and very sad, it was 82. I was never able to think of more than 18 numbers before my brain was spun off again, and ironically enough, this is serious and honest, every time those blissful numbers spun away, it was because I couldn't get this rapid-fire question out of my head because it was not in the original script, and I had to write it down. That's all we've got for this episode. Thanks for listening, and good day.
This episode of the D6 Generation is brought to you by GameSalute.com. Check out gaming news or find out what the new hotness is on Springboard. GameSalute.com. And by Lone Wolf Development. Take your game to the next level.
And the War Store, bringing the war to your door since 1999, and that is for a decade or more.
And by Audible. Try the service, get a free book, and support the show. All by visiting audibletrial.com/D6G.
And by Geek Nation Tours. Rise up and join the Geek Nation, touring the world at geeknationtours.com.
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome to episode 110
110.
of the D6 Generation. I'm Russ Wakeland.
I'm Craig Gallant.
And this is the GenCon Mob. So what are we going to talk about today, Craig?
Well, Russ, today we're going to talk about space and cadets. So I would imagine some sort of learning is involved, probably astrogation. I'm not so good at math, but I mentioned three-dimensional geometry is probably involved as well.
Three-dimensional geography?
Geometry.
All right.
Isn't all geography three-dimensional?
Okay, fair enough. Before we get to all that fun, and it'll probably be some other review we don't know yet.
Yeah, we know. Or reviews, or
who knows? Interviews. It could be anything. That's what's great about Gen Con. You never know.
You never know
what you're going to get. We should talk about first our contest.
Pocket dialing.
Are you pocket dialing?
No, we should just accidentally turn on a recorder and walk around for 45 minutes.
Okay, fair enough.
Swish, swish, swish,
I love
swish, swish. 45 minutes, that's genius.
It is.
And think how easy it would be.
So in our last episode, actually 2 episodes ago now, we gave away Leviathan.
We did.
And oh yes, Balance of Power.
Poor Balance of Power.
I know, it's like a second-class citizen.
It really is.
It's a fun game, really. Try it out. They're demoing it over at Catalyst Game Labs, actually. We have a new contest coming up. New contest coming up next episode. I happen to know that we're getting a donated copy to give away of Mage Wars. We're really excited about that.
Awesome game.
And the folks at Mage Wars were kind enough to give away some swag for us to give away today. So some good loot there too. That game's selling pretty hot. There's like a line going around the corner every day.
I think they had 60 yesterday, 60 today, 80 tomorrow, and they've been selling out in about an hour.
Yeah. So if you want that game, you got to get over there.
Or start thinking now about our contest.
Yes, which
we have no idea what it will be.
Right, so email some good ideas you think you're going to ace.
I still think feature-length film.
No, not going to happen. Other announcements, we just recorded a Lost Chapters, but we haven't released, it's not out there yet, so it'll come after the show, so we'll announce that later. And to listen to our Lost Chapters, check out the iOS app, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Very easy. Even I can do it. You know how bad I am with the Twitter and such.
John, are you ready with the special sound effects over there?
Yes, I know you're tweeting.
I've tweeted. I tweeted
right, Craig,
you to the world.
What's the time now for?
It's time for
Achievements in Gaming.
Boop.
That does not sound
We don't
right
have
without
our
an echo.
Oh, that's inappropriate.
That sounds really lame without an echo. Wait,
So
can I do it again?
There you go. Nice. Look at that. Woo, nicely done. So you try enough and it works.
I'm not doing it again.
An achievement of gaming is brought to us by
OG Games, offering OG points on all purchases. Collect them after every sale and redeem them to save pounds on future purchases. www.oggames.co.uk.
So, Craig, what have you been playing lately?
Well, Russ, the day before I left here, our friend Joe, came over to my house and we played Dust, and that was awesome. Dust Warfare, sorry. He hasn't played a miniature game in forever, so it was really not fair, and I took full advantage because he's one of those guys who's got ridiculous luck, so you got to take it when you can get it. But yeah, I had an absolute blast playing that, so I'm still playing that a lot. Get the whole thing painted up, so I might as well. And then when we came here, the first thing with the Geek Nation Tours guys, we played Evil Baby Orphanage.
Ooh, yeah.
Awesome.
Now, why would you not play a game called Evil Baby Orphanage by Wyrd?
It's pretty fantastic.
It is an awesome game, very, very funny, nonstop laughs the entire time.
And Eric explained to us the deep and meaningful history and psychology behind this game.
Yes, indeed, yes.
So you're going back in time, and the game's got these little cool time machines that are non-IP infringing time machines that look like a DeLorean but not, and a phone
really
booth but not.
Not really a phone
There's
booth.
two different phone booths, but they're
There are,
different
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
But
My favorite was the cardboard box.
right, so you're going back in time, right, but instead of like assassinating Hitler, wouldn't it be more humane if you just kidnapped him as a baby, took him back to the future, and then
Specially designed orphanage.
for evil babies
to raise him as a normal person, maybe an accountant,
Right.
and then put him back
and then
into
put
the
him
time
back into
stream.
society, right? Along with Genghis Khan.
It's a very humane game.
So all the cards are these little cutely drawn babies with little. It's really funny. It's kind of like Munchkin level of humor, but with a little more layers of mechanics, to make it a little more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good
very,
fun.
very. The constant flipping of the cards to see all the different evil babies,
Very funny.
and their different abilities and traits is just hilarious. Poor Rutherford B. Hayes, though.
I know, right?
Somebody at Wyrd hates Rutherford B. Hayes,
He is evil.
and he's like in the game.
So what else have you been playing?
So, what else have I been playing? Well, then I think, I went and we played Star Wars twice instead of going to the keynote.
Yeah.
Star Wars is awesome, but I heard really good things about the keynote, so I'm
Yeah.
a little bent out of shape about
Did
that.
anybody go to the keynote?
Okay, were you all
Crickets.
playing Star
There you
Wars?
go.
There you go.
Who bought Star Wars? The X-Wing game. By applause.
Oh, good
It's an
game.
audio medium, people. No.
We need to,
All right.
although 3 or 4 applause really sounds pathetic.
Okay, fair enough. The line was brutal though, Fantasy Flight. I'm not gonna lie. That definitely
Yeah,
turned
that was
people off.
Netrunner probably though, but
Yeah, well, every
I
Fantasy-
didn't need that. I needed Star Wars.
Yeah.
X-wing,
It's pretty awesome.
and so that's all I've been playing.
Let's see.
Oh no! Then I went to the Killer Breakfast, which is kind of like playing, but I totally got cheesed, and I got called up for one of the game show pieces instead of the RPG piece. So I had my "How did I get here?" all ready to go. I'm going to give it to you. Okay,
How'd you
this
get
is how
here?
I got here. Right. So my friend and I were just eating hamburgers on the side of the road when a rabid rhinoceros attacked, and I went, "Nationwide is on your side."
You would have stayed for
Thank
that.
you.
That was
Thank
good.
you. I didn't. I'm like, oh, gotta go. Anyway.
Oh, well.
That was it. That's it. That's all the gaming I did.
So, Nicole and I played. We got our Zombie Side Kickstarter in like the weekend before GenCon. Who got Zombie Side?
There you go. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Nicole, what'd you think of Zombie Side?
I loved it. I loved it because I love zombies, and the characters that you got with that Abomination level, there were extra
Yeah.
ones in there that were just like, there's a guy who looks like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, and he's got a purple lightsaber, like the extendable plastic one. I so like envision him with a lightsaber, like bang, 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 trying to kill a zombie. And they have a guy who looks like Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, and I love all the little zombie characters. They were
Yeah.
awesome.
It's a nice homage. The quality of figures is great, and the gameplay is really nice. It's a nice co-op. Plays very well for 1 or up to 6. Great little game. Very solid. I like it a lot. It's my new favorite zombie game. Not gonna lie.
You said new favorite co-op game.
It's also it's edging out Shadows over Camelot as the easiest to teach general gamers want to play game. Battlestar is a great co-op game too, but Battlestar's sometimes a little fiddly near the end. Shadows is great. Good trader mechanic. There's no trader mechanic in Zombie Side, but I think if you look at the expansion coming out next year, there's zombie versions of all the heroes. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe in the expansion you can turn and become a trader.
Yeah, because now you die. Like you get 2 wins, that's it, you're
awesome.
out. But I want to.
Yeah, there's player elimination, which is a little rough. But yeah, it's fun. Good times. Let's see, what else did we do? Oh, we did play X-Wing. Craig and I talked about that. Good fun. I tried a demo of level 7. Anybody tried level 7 yet? Applause. That's some like. Did you guys like it? Anyone stand up and tell us if level 7 was cool or not? Got a mic over here. You want to walk it? Is the mic live there, John?
Yeah, I can walk it over.
Awesome.
John, you're the greatest.
It is? Is it?
It will be. Anybody want to talk about their level 7 experience? Be on a 1,000 listener podcast right here. Maybe even 14,000. Who knows? Some number of listeners.
Some number between 1,000 and 14.
Hold on to that. I'm going to turn you on.
Hey, family show.
Wow.
Walked right into that.
They didn't call it. It's not called Game On for nothing.
Okay, so... okay, I'm really loud. Sorry. So my level 7 experience was a 2.5 hour wait in the Privateer Press line for some War Machine stuff, and they had a pile there that looked like it was getting smaller quickly, so I bought him one.
Now, have you tried it yet?
We got it out at, 12 last night? 12. Punched all the things out, looked at it, looked in the rules, and then went, sleep.
Complicated. Fair enough. Now, where are you from?
Australia.
Australia, awesome. Nice. Wow. Woo, welcome.
I love Australia.
Thank you.
I played the demo real quick, the short one. I'm scheduled for Saturday to play the full 2-hour real game, but I played a quick demo at the Privateer booth. I'm a little disappointed there's not miniatures coming from Privateer Press. You'd think there'd be models in there, but other than that, the mechanics are really slick. I like how the fear, your fear goes up, which makes you better at some things, but worse than others. And also, there's 2 different bad guys in level 7. So the theme of level 7 is you've been taken to Area 51 where they capture the aliens, but the aliens have said, hey, U.S. government, we'll give you alien technology if you give us some humans to experiment on. Oh, sure, that sounds good. So you are playing one of these captured humans trying to escape. So if you're all crafty and sane and non-fearful, then the humans get concerned you're becoming a threat, so the guards come after you. But if you're all scared and cowering and away from the guards ignore you, but aliens feed on our fear like it's a drug, and aliens start coming for you. Just kind of balances out. So it's got some cool mechanics. Artwork's fantastic. Components I'm still not sure about, but I got to play the game more to see if I really like it or not. Good times. And then what else did I play?
There's nothing on the screen he keeps looking at.
No, it just makes me feel like I'm doing something.
He keeps faking me out. He's got note. No, he
doesn't.
No,
I have nothing. I got nothing. What else did we play? Is that it? So far over the week? I guess so. Artemis, yes, thank you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was going to go with other. Artemis was fantastic. So for those who don't know, what was Artemis?
It was so cool. So you get to pretend you're on the bridge of this spaceship, and one of you gets to be the captain, and you have comm, and you have weapons. Someone taking control of the engines. And I got comm, and I'm like, okay, so or whatever. I get the red alert button. So I just kept hitting the red alert button, and literally lights light up in the corner of the room. And it's
room flashing red.
Whoop, it was really fun.
It was very cool.
Yeah, you get to blow up other ships. You're screaming coordinates at each other.
And I was at the helm, so I got a little joystick, and every person has their own sort of video touchscreen station. So as an engineer. And Geoff Engelstein was the captain of our starship, so he just sat in the chair. And the best...
He was
awesome.
He was fantastic.
He was fantastic.
Geoff had the best ending. So, Craig, would you imitate Geoff's ending?
Okay, so awesome. I didn't get a chance to go in. I was not offered a ticket, so I was just watching. But if you happen to go in and watch, because you can watch, keep in mind that there's a role-playing element that's very subconscious. It's not really a role-playing game, but everybody gets into it. It's really exciting and enjoyable. Don't wander onto the spaceship bridge and just sit there in your Renaissance costume with your soda and your pretzel and watch, okay? Because you don't really fit in. So at that point, when that guy just stood there, I became the security officer, which is awesome. So I did walk in and I was like... But Geoff, as the captain, was kind of didn't really feel his way through at the beginning. He was kind of making sure everybody was doing their thing. But then at the very end, they had 2 battleships coming at them, bad guys. And Nicole is a very good negotiator. So as soon as a neutral ship shows up in space, she's like, your mother's a crustacean! Till they turn bright red and come straight at you. And everybody knows from South Park rules, if they're coming straight at you, you're allowed to kill them. So 2 ships were coming straight at these guys, and it's like something clicked in Geoff's head. And all of a sudden, he walked over to engineering and he said, full power to the rear screens. And they were facing the bad guys, and everybody's like, so the engineer was like, and then he walked over to helm and was like, bring us a boat. And then he went over to the weapons, and he was like, load 2 mines. And everybody's like, what is he doing? And they're all doing their thing. And take us forward, and the ship starts sliding forward, and then he goes to weapons, Launch the mines. They're very calm. Wasn't even looking at anything. He was like looking up. He went, launch the mines. And on the screen, you see these things go, land between the two bad guys and blow them both up.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was fantastic.
It was the most dramatic ending of any game I've ever seen. And the panache with which he pulled it off.
Yeah, the hands behind the back and everything.
He
was
did.
Fantastic.
He was
It
like,
was awesome.
launch the mines.
It was great. So what about you, the audience? Any games we didn't mention that are hot here at GenCon? Raise your hand. Well, John, you got a mic on that person?
Hi there, guys. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Who are you and where are you from?
John from London, England.
I also love London.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Some of us have to live there. It loses the shine.
It doesn't lose a little bit of its edge. They say if you want anything in life, you can find it in London. Is that true?
Probably true. Yeah. Tried out Relic Knights.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the models for a while on Cool Mini. And really fun. I'm looking for a new skirmish game with big War Machine players. And game's great, but it's getting non-skirmishy, essentially. So looking to pick up a new skirmish. Tried out Relic Knights. Played a bit of Malifaux before, so using the older deck of cards rather than dice is interesting. Really good, yeah. I think I'll back that one on Kickstarter. Looking like a good use of the cool model. So give it a try.
Great.
It's pretty quick, pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Excellent employees.
Yeah,
over there at that booth.
One of the few booth babes at the con.
Very attentive.
Yeah, but she has enough for every booth babe that could be here, so it makes up for it.
I wasn't taking that in. My girlfriend's with me. She gave me the look. So I was like,
Right.
it's cool.
Right.
Anybody else have a game they're excited about?
Wait, I know that guy. Who is that guy?
I'm Rodney Smith from Prince Edward Island. And,
Hey, Rodney.
Hey, how you doing?
Also, Watch It Played.
Watch It Played.
Also, Watch It Played. We just came running from a demo of the Marvel Legendary from Upper Deck. And it's their new deck builder. It's not out yet. It's coming, I think, in November.
How is it?
It's really good. We really enjoyed it. You know, deck builders, there's a lot of them, right? So this one had some new interesting things. You're playing with all the heroes, lots of cool iconic villains. And the best part is, as I'm playing it, I'm realizing I've got kids, right? So I've got a son, and I'm like, this would be perfect. And I've been filing a lot of things under that here at GenCon. I bought X-Wing. This will be perfect for Luke. Honey, I had to get it.
Oh, yeah.
Luke would love this.
That's how I roll. It's for the kids.
Android Netrunner. He's going to love it. So literally fine. So kids are great. And it looks like a fantastic game, both for kids and for older kids as well.
Excellent.
Nice.
Somebody else? You just go ahead, John. This is all you.
Yeah, just pick people.
You pick them.
Hi, I'm Greg from the south coast of England.
Oh, nice. Welcome.
I played Zombie 101 in the playtesting arena.
Ooh, now what is that like?
Which is quite cool. You play high school kids. You've been infected.
Oh, nice.
You've got to run to the science lab, grab the antidote, run out. There's zombies in the way. The other players are in the way. If you want to, you can hit them. You can knock them into zombies.
If you want to.
The first guy got surrounded by zombies because we pushed him there. Pushed all the zombies. You don't have to be the slowest. You just have to. It's really good. I advise anyone getting the playtesting. It's they need us as well. So it's
check it out. So Zombie 101.
Indeed.
Nice.
Sounds like they've captured the high school mentality perfectly.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Sam from Indianapolis.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's very mundane next to Australia and England. Sorry.
And a 20-minute drive to get here this morning.
Right.
I played a quick, cutesy little game that we picked up from Asmati Games called Flower Fall.
Oh, I played that.
Yeah, it was like 10 seconds to teach and like super unique and creative. You're dropping little flowers to make these little fields and try to capture other people's cards. And I run a youth group, so it's like something I play with my youth group kids in like 10 minutes. Perfect kind of thing.
Oh, great tip. Is it a dexterity game then, basically?
Yeah, you have to hold up the card and try and drop it onto the field and get them to hook up with the other card.
Yeah, you have to hold it at eye level, so it's it's not like you're holding it here. So there's a certain amount of like someone walks by, makes a breeze, and your card goes whoosh, floating away.
Oh, nice.
But it was very cool. I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Great tip. Thanks.
Cool.
Let's go.
Go ahead and hand
Good
that.
time for one more, and then we'll move on.
Hi, Brian from New Hampshire.
Hey, Brian. I know you.
How you doing, guys? I played Spartacus from Gale Force 9.
Ooh.
They just printed it. Just came out, so they're demoing here.
Now, are they selling it or just demoing it?
They're selling it. They just got their
really?
shipment in.
Did you buy one? That's the big question.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I was a little cranky yesterday. I think I needed a snack. But It was a fun game where it was a 4-player game we're playing, and you're kind of a Roman lord kind of thing, and you gather slaves and gather gladiators, and you have a financial component where you get to host the tournament or not. You kind of get an advantage for hosting, but you got to bid for that. You auction for your slaves and your gladiators, and two people at the end of a round kind of beat each other up, and you bet on who's going to die, like if you might get a decapitation, something good like that, or maybe just an injury.
That sounds pretty fun.
But so you can bet on a winner anyway. So really fun game.
Decapitations always win, right?
After you play through around it really fast, I think it's easy to learn and a fun game.
Cool. How are the components?
Awesome. They're really nice. I mean, good miniatures. So it's kind of you think of an arena board, and it has kind of the betting stations around that. But it's just a hex-based arena, and your gladiator has skills for movement and attack and defense. And as you get wounded, you lose dice from those pools. So the more kind of beat down you get, the harder it is for you to fight back.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Try it out.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys.
Great. So that's is that achievements? Or do you want to go into modeling?
Well, have you done any modeling?
Not really. Someone mentioned Malifaux, I think, in some modeling back there. I think Craig and I spent a lot of chunk of money at the Wyrd
Between us,
booth.
we earned 3
female death marshals.
What are they called? Mysterious.
Yeah. Does anybody buy any?
Spend $100 to get one.
Anybody buy any Wyrd miniature stuff this week so far?
Some people out there.
A few pauses there. There you go. Yeah,
I
Malifaux.
see hands. Those are people who are not paying attention.
Audio.
So Malifaux, the big thing Wyrd did this weekend was they're premiering a lot of their new plastics. First time they did plastic models. Pretty impressive.
Crazy
so those
detail
are great.
and very fine.
Now, did anybody buy any new Privateer Press stuff this weekend? Yeah. All right.
I would like to note for the audience at home that it was the same amount of people, but the weird people raised their hands.
But the Privateer people follow instructions better.
That's true. That's true.
So, a lot of cool stuff. Anyone want to shout out what the coolest hot miniature they saw at Privateer that they hadn't seen before yet?
The Hyperion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Ashley Ring's cool. The Bombardier. Yeah.
Yes, very
so
nice.
Privateer this year had limited edition models based on some of the Ram T-shirt backs. And the Bombardier's fantastic. It's the man of war suit popped open with the lady pilot hanging out enjoying a beverage.
I think it's that woman from Relic Knights.
Might be. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. So that was good. Any other miniature gaming? Any purchase anybody made? Any new hotness? Dust was.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the new Dust models look fantastic. The new German, the Walker transports. Yeah, you were begging for a transport. Now you got one.
I wasn't begging for one. I was just like, I don't have one.
Well, you're whining.
Whining and begging are two totally different things.
Right. How about any non sort of direct gaming related stuff you've done here at GenCon so far, Craig?
I've spent almost all my time wandering aimlessly in the vendor hall, so I just love it there.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
I've been talking to writers and artists and designers, and which is the cool thing about GenCon is that any of us can do that. That it's not like they see the shirt and then they go, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to you." It's more like they see the shirt and go, "What? Oh, you want to talk about my game? Okay."
Why do you have an old Phoenix jersey on?
Exactly. Yeah. Historical.
Right.
But yeah, I've noticed that the zombie theme is still going strong in gaming.
It is.
In the gaming meme. And I talked to 2 very different role-playing companies, role-playing games, zombie role-playing games. One has a really cool concept. I don't remember what their game is, which is probably for the best when I review it briefly. Because it's like this thick, and it's basically, it seemed to me, audio medium. It's approximately 2 inches thick. And it seems to just be an exercise in frustration because basically you're supposed to play yourself and be as good at surviving a zombie apocalypse as you really would be. And they went and they found all these experts and were like, how likely is it that a completely untrained person firing a .45 in fog would be able to hit a moving zombie? And I was like, and what would you say? Oh, 10%. There's a game I want to play. Oh, I miss. Oh. And she was like, oh yeah, it's really exciting. Like you die and then you have to like start over. Okay. And then another company that did a role-playing game that was 1,000 times in the different direction was like the zombie apocalypse happened 3 generations ago, and now mankind's trying to rebuild, and it's all about fun, and it's like pools of dice, and it's like, and his example was, I climb up the building, I jump 3 buildings over, I shoot 2 zombies as I'm jumping over the buildings, I jump down, I lift my friend up, and then I cut the 3rd zombie's throat. was like, wow, what are the likelihood of that? Oh, you could probably do it. That's the game I want to play. Nice. So, I mean, it's just, so the vendor hall is just awesome. And that's where we did the killer breakfast this morning. You guys did not so much do the killer breakfast.
No, it's 2 hours of the killer breakfast. And
right.
Nicole
of which you guys had about
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
It was like,
I was watching my phone. It was exactly 45 minutes, Craig, according to Apple.
If you say so.
There's a lot of preamble in the killer breakfast. So at least 15 minutes of it is like,
adding.
Marketing.
I mean,
marketing's the word.
Marketing.
So yeah, it was probably 15 minutes of actual killer breakfast.
That's true.
But yeah, it's worth doing. If you've never been to, has anybody been to killer breakfast before? No, a couple people. It's definitely worth doing. It's quite an experience. It's very unique to GenCon.
Yeah.
Basically, what happens is Tracy Hickman, best known for his many fantasy novels, is up there with his wife, and basically people are asked to come up on stage and play Dungeons and Dragons, but really they just whip through and kill you off as fast as humanly possible.
Not as fast as I thought. The pacing did not go as fast as I thought it was going to. And like I said, I went up there for a game show instead. So maybe it's just that I'm bitter.
You're bitter. Craig's bitter.
But that was fun. And then watching these guys play Artemis was probably one of the highlights so far. So if you can go there, which is on the second floor of the convention center, either play or just watch because it's a blast.
It's cool. And the narrator they have for the demo is pretty funny too.
Yeah, they have on the outside they've got a demo going the whole time, and the guy who narrates the demo sounds just like the space captain from Futurama. So it's really fun. So, what you realize is that this thing over here is going to blow up. It's just really cool. Awesome. Very, very funny.
Very good. Nicole, how about the cosplay? Seen a lot of cosplay?
There's a lot of Doctor Who's. I think there's more Doctor Who's here than there are anything related to gaming, which kind of stuff. I'm like, where's like the 40K people? What, did they not come this year? But there's like,
a few.
I've seen like 20, one right there. There's one in the audience. I got a picture of you. You were my sole 40K player the entire con. But yeah, there's been some really cool cosplay, and there's you've probably seen it before. This woman has this wheelchair, and it's totally this steampunk wheelchair. It's the coolest thing ever. It's very slick. And then there was this little girl at Hickman's breakfast, and she's really in apparently to skulls, with little pink bows, and it was all her wheels on her wheelchair had them, the padding on it had them. She'd totally done out her whole wheelchair like that. It was very cool. Yeah, it was neat.
Very good. So is that achievements now?
Sure.
All right, that's achievement. We got to get on to Space Command action now.
We got to get things
keep moving.
We got a bunch of stuff to give away.
All right, that is achievements.
Blink.
Hey. All right.
You're listening to the D6 generation. More to game.
Werewolves at GenCon. Oh wait, no, that wasn't it. But you know who makes the coolest computer software for gaming now?
Oh, they finally did it, Craig. They finally.
What did they do? What did they do, Russ?
So I was there at GenCon, walking around, minding my own business, and what do I see off in the distance? But the giant moon.
Was it an iPad?
It was at the Lone Wolf Development booth. They had an iPad right there, demoing Hero Lab on the iPad, showing the Pathfinder thing. And what's cool about this is, it's not just like some weird. I don't understand what it is. You look at the iPad; it looks exactly like your character sheet.
Wow! And they say that's not easy.
And it all looks there. And then if you click on different parts of it, it lets you do stuff like do some damage to yourself, check out your stats, look up a rule. Really, really slick. It is just a prototype version, so if you saw it at Gen Con, they're still working it out, still developing it, but it looked fantastic. I am so excited to see Lone Wolf Development working on iOS applications. That is just awesome. Hero Lab is just the ultimate way to take care of your RPG character for a variety of systems, including Pathfinder, Shadowrun as well, if you like that. And make sure you go, if you're a Mac user, you're like, I don't have an iPad yet, but I got a Mac, no problem. Mac versions of Hero Lab and Army Builder are available right now as we speak. Check them out at lowworthdevelopment.com. And Craig, what else have you seen? What other cool stuff do they have?
Well, what they have is Army Builder. Did you mention that?
Just briefly, but yeah, Army Builder is a great way to train.
Well, Army Builder is a must-have for those of us who are getting back into Warhammer 40,000. gonna dip your feet into almost any miniatures game you can imagine, you're gonna find the files for it for Army Builder, on the forums, etc., and other places.
And hopefully you got a chance if you're at GenCon to check out their booth also to see Realmworks in action again. That is getting closer.
Realmworks.
I love Realmworks. I cannot wait till that hits the streets.
Realmworks is awesome.
Fantabulous.
Realmworks is going to change not only GMing, but it's going to change several other industries. I have a theory, but I'm going to keep it to myself for now.
Sounds good.
Man, wait till you see how this thing coordinates all of your thoughts and dreams.
It's pretty cool. So check out, be sure to follow him on Twitter too at LoneWolfDevel to keep all the latest Lone Wolf news in your pocket.
Yeah. Leave off the opment for savings
or
something.
And now, what's in the news? With the shout out, pre-order all the upcoming releases at OG Games. Special pre-order prices, earn OG points, and guarantee your copy. www.oggames.co.uk. Up first, news from Fantasy Flight Games. Lots of it broke at GenCon. You probably heard most of it, but we'll repeat it here because, that's what we do. Up first, Fantasy Flight Games has just released the Star Wars Dice app for your iOS devices. The Star Wars Dice app comes with all the dice and everything you need to roll dice in the new TIE Fighter. The X-Wing, which also has TIE Fighters in it, X-Wing miniature combat game. But also, and more importantly, if you're a fan of the recently announced Star Wars RPG, the Dice app also has all the special dice you need to play the beta version of the RPG. The Dice app does come in at a whopping $5, which is a bit high for a Dice app, we think. But it does include some neat sound effects like, it's a trap! So, your mileage may vary on that. Also in Fantasy Flight Game news, in addition to launching X-Wing at GenCon and the first round of expansions, including the blisters for the Y-Wing, the X-Wing with the Wedge Antilles card in it, the TIE Fighter with the Backstabber and some other pilots in it, the TIE Advance with Darth Vader in it, and the Y-Wing. FFG also showed off brand new models, including the highly anticipated Millennium Falcon, the A-Wing, the TIE Interceptor, and Slave One, all to scale, and they look really, really cool. Check out the D6 Generation Facebook page or the Twitter feed for actual photos of the Millennium Falcon, along with hands and other ships in there, human hands and other ships to get a feel for scale and size. Just mentioned the Star Wars RPG. Fantasy Flight Games did indeed announce a new upcoming Fantasy Flight pen and paper Star Wars RPG. The RPG was free to all who attended the flight report at GenCon. It was sort of an Oprah look under your chair moment, except you didn't look under your chair, they just handed them out. If you did not go to the flight report, you could purchase the softcover book for $30 at the con, and apparently the money you use to spend on purchasing the beta rules will be reduced from your cost of the PDF version of the book if you'd like. And again, you'll want the Dice app to be able to roll dice for this thing. And finally, in Fantasy Flight Game news, Blood Bowl Team Manager, the card game, has an upcoming expansion announced called Sudden Death, and Wakeland's all excited. Oh, yeah, baby! It features Tomb Kings, one of his favorite teams. Other news at GenCon, Spartan Games announced Dystopian Legions, a 28mm Dystopian Wars universe game, and this is going to be, as you heard Craig mention earlier in the episode, it's being touted as both a skirmish game as well as being able to scale up to an army scale game, again at the 28mm scale. They showed off both infantry models as well as some really nice looking large resin vehicles that rival the size of vehicles of our other game systems, including Games Workshop. And they also had a very, very large walker. Pretty impressive stuff. Also from Spartan Games, they've announced Spartan Studios, which is a similar service similar to Forge World, allowing you to order special limited edition models and other such interesting information. Head on over to Spartan Games website for more details. Let's see. Days of Wonder has recently announced a new Shadows over Camelot game. This is a standalone card game based on the popular co-op Shadows over Camelot board game. Card game includes a deck of 62 rumors, 9 knight, 9 loyalty, 10 quest tokens, and 16 double-sided black and white swords. Standalone game takes approximately 20 minutes to play and can be played with 2 to 7 players, as well as solo. So it's expected to be coming out at Essen in North America in October. Big news on the Flames of War front. Flames of War has announced their starter box called Open Fire, and the big news here is it features plastics. The plastics look amazing. Both infantry and tanks look really, really well done. Definitely want to check this out. If you're a Flames of War fan, you do not want to miss this. Head on over to flamesofwar.com page and check out the new photos as well as painted up models of the new starter box. Definitely an affordable way to get into Flames of War as well as an impressive start for miniatures from Battlefront. Let's see, other news. Privateer Press has moved up the street date for the Iron Kingdoms RPG. Famously now known for selling out inside a couple hours at GenCon this couple weeks ago, the Iron Kingdoms RPG was originally slated to release in October. It has been moved up to September 19th. So excited folks can look forward to that. And speaking of GenCon, the news is out. GenCon has shattered all kinds of its prior records. There were over 41,000 unique attendees. That means distinct badges were sold, up 12% over prior years. And there were over 134,000 turnstiles. That means that 134,000 people went through the doors. Of course, if you went through each day, you counted 4 times. But that's how a lot of different cons measure it. So if your other cons measure by turnstiles, it's 134,000. If they measure by unique attendees, it is 41,000. It was indeed a record-breaking year for GenCon, and glad to see that they're doing so well. And that's what's in the news.
You're listening to the D6 Generation. Born to Game.
So now we're going to do, the Ingalls have been kind enough, Jeff's been kind enough to come down here with his lovely family. And they, of course, are in the midst of getting ready to publish Space Cadets, right?
Which is their second big game.
Second big game, right, Brian?
Yes, second big game.
Yes. And here it is. Here's the box copy.
The publisher insisted that we bring this and hold it up.
Nice. So we're going to play a mob version of this, right? Yes. So and we've got lots of lovely prizes. So the folks that are braver and more adventurous will get things. Also, we have plenty of we have enough patches.
Everybody should not leave. No one should leave without a patch.
Without
today,
a patch,
so.
fun patches.
We had them specially shipped to GenCon.
Yes, they are Velcro, so they can stick to your battle foam bag, or if you don't have battle foam or whatever, you can just
You can
sew
glue,
it on to something.
yeah, you can glue this on. I also brought a small number of sticky-backed Velcro pieces, so if you really wanted to get them right onto whatever you're wearing. Ooh. Okay, nobody's getting that one. I'll have those for after our thing here. I just cut them up before I got here. There's really nothing exciting.
So, Brian, what's the premise of your game?
Okay, so our game is called Space Cadets, and it's for 4 to 9 people, 6 to 9 people. I can never remember how many people we ended up putting on the box.
Or
3 to 6 people, and you play as the bridge crew of a starship attempting to do whatever it is the mission says to do, and hopefully not die horribly. And so we've taken this and we've blown it up to 80 people and radio only in what we are calling the Space Cadets Radio Spectacular.
All right, nice.
And so I'll pass it off to Dad.
Okay, so what's going to happen here is we're going to have 2 starships. In the actual game, it's a cooperative game with just one crew. But since we have so many people, we're going to split you into 2 starships, and you're going to be shooting at each other.
Yeah.
So basically, we're going to break it from this room over, except the folks in the last row. Maybe you can come over on this side.
Not physically, but
no, you may have to. You're going to have to physically go.
Are
over.
they gonna?
Yes.
Sorry.
You can slide your chairs over something.
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to. I've been losing my voice. I apologize. Is we're going to nominate a captain. We need to get a captain for each side. So we're going to choose it. Today's August 17th. So on this side, whose birthday is closest to August 17th? Okay. 10th. Okay, we have our captain over here.
Nice.
Okay.
The captain needs a hat.
The captain needs a hat.
And on this side? Was there a 9th over there? 12th.
12.
Okay, that sounds
12.
good.
There you go.
Captain needs a hat.
Captain.
Okay, so we're going to get a little bit organized here. So we need the captains to solicit from their ships names for the ship. So that's the first thing you guys got to do is get your names together. So we'll give you a minute to get that together.
I like that one. Give that guy something.
How about Tiberius? Oh, Tiberius.
Tiberius.
I like Tiberius. Who came up with that name, Captain? Who suggested lollipop? You got a shirt. What's this side's name? You guys got one?
That's us. Happy Hour.
And
Happy Hour.
Who suggested happy hour? Shirts.
It's GS. What's her name?
Lollipop versus...
It's right there in case you forget.
It's the lollipop versus happy hour, everyone.
Okay.
All right.
In the finest tradition of mob games.
Right.
Okay, we're also going to need a couple more people to fill in some of these seats up here.
Maybe we'll...
Because what there's going to be is for each ship, there's going to be 4 sub-teams.
Right.
Okay? There's going to be the helm. There's going to be shields.
Here we go.
There's going to be weapons.
Move
and
on
there's going
down,
to be
folks.
engineering.
And one person moved forward. Very
Wow.
good.
Who just moved?
Okay, that's
Give her a
fine.
shirt.
The blue shirt actually moved forward.
Okay,
Bravery. Shirt of bravery.
so
And following instructions.
the first 2 rows, you guys are helm. Next 2 rows,
Look at
you
that.
guys are weapons. You guys are shields. And the 2 back rows, that's going to include you over here, you guys are engineering.
All right. Nice. All right.
Okay, so basically what's going to happen is we're going to go through a series of 4 little mini games, one for each of the teams, which is similar to the way we do things in the actual board game of Space Cadets. Is each person is like the weapons person has to load the torpedo tubes with these little puzzles and then flick a disc and things like that. So we're going to start the turn with engineering, and engineering is going to determine how much power goes to the 3 other stations.
Well, it's not that easy.
It's not quite that easy.
You have to know your D6G trivia in order to properly allocate power.
Yes. Okay, then
Go ahead. We were going to let Geoff make this whole thing up on its own. Go ahead, Geoff.
next the navigation, the helm team is going to go.
Right.
And they are going to try to navigate the ship through time and space, and whoever does better is going to earn an advantage for their ship. Then weapons is going to go, and they're going to have to load the torpedo tubes and launch them at the other team, and then the shields team from the other ship is going to try to stop those torpedoes. The torpedoes that get through will do the damage.
Ouch.
So that's the basic flow of the turn.
Right.
So I'll get into the details of how exactly you do all that stuff when it comes up, but let's get started with the engineering team.
Okay. So now Jeff's going to hand out cards, if I'm not mistaken, right, Jeff?
Jeff is going to hand out cards.
So there's going to be 4 cards. 4 cards? 4, sir. 4 cards. And what's going to happen is engineering, you're going to be given a question, and there's going to be answers A, B, C, and D. And the question's going to be the same for both ships' engineering teams. And you're going to assign those letters to the different areas of your ship based on which letter you think has which value. So if you want to give more power to a particular section, let's say shields, you want to give the answer to the question that has the highest number. Okay? So the questions, I'll actually give you the first question for the very first round. Can I give the question now, Jeff?
Yeah.
So, option A, so wherever you put A is going to get the number of original regular hosts of the show. The original number of the regular hosts of the D6 generation is choice A. Okay. Choice B is the number of downloads required to listen to episode 1. That's choice B. All right. Choice C is the number of famous rock stars to have appeared on the show. And the last choice is the number of times Pandemic has been reviewed on D6 Generation. So, and make it harder. So, A is number of original hosts. B is number of downloads required to listen to episode 1. C is the number of famous rock stars. And D is the number of times we've reviewed Pandemic. All right, have we assigned?
Does the captain have does the captain of the lollipop have a question?
We should get big signs for each row. Next one, we'll do that. All right, we're going to do 20 seconds here, Jeff?
Yeah, no, like 5 seconds.
All right, 5 seconds. Get your power assigned, folks.
What do you want him to do?
Just hand the cards to the section. Sorry.
Just give the cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody assigned?
Helm.
You get this. Take that.
Nice. Okay, so does every station have a power assignment? Yes. Excellent. Okay. So now, Jeff, which station do we start with?
The good ship lollipop, helm. What letter did you assign to?
B.
B was 2 in my case. The one I picked
Yes.
was B. 2 energy points. The answer to the question of the number of downloads required to listen to episode 1 is, of course, 2. 1A and 1B.
And your helm over here?
C. C was 1, the number of famous rock stars appear on the show, which is debatable, but we are not counting Marion Call as a rock star. Marion Call is a folk artist.
I did.
Yeah, right. It's been tweeted.
Sure
I will
it's
not be
just been
scolded.
tweeted.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, weapons.
We're good. Nice. Hey. It was 3. Strong's. All right.
Okay.
Now we're ready. Power's been assigned. Let's do this.
Okay, who would like to read the...
I think Craig can read the helm questions. I'll take care of engineering.
Okay, so the way the helm game works is we will ask you a series of questions based on how much power you have. And depending on how many you get right, they're all questions related to space and time, and the more you get right, the more your other systems do better. Your torpedoes hit well. It's hard to explain.
It's basically, if you're driving well, everything works better, right?
I can explain it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to ask the navigation teams a series of 6 questions. You're both going to get the same questions, and you're going to pick a choice either A or B. It's going to be something of the form which came first, the chicken or the egg, and then you're going to pick A or B. The navigation team that spent more energy in helm is going to have more time to talk to each other and try to figure out the answer.
Ah.
Okay.
Do we need a timer?
Go through all 6.
I have a timer.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, you guys are going to get, you put 2 energy, so you're going to get 15 seconds to answer your question.
Nice.
And you guys are going to get 10 seconds.
All right.
Okay.
I will start the timer. Craig, you wait till I give you the go there.
Hang on. You guys are ready.
We're distributing the cards now.
Okay, so you're going to
All right.
kind of lock in your answer after your time.
I will call off when 10 seconds have expired and 15. So who had more power? Was it Lollipop or Happy Hour? So Lollipop has 15 seconds, Happy Hour is 10. Ready on the first question. Are we both ready? Are both helms ready? Helms, are you ready? Okay, here we go.
You guys ready?
Go.
First, which came first, the airing of Star Trek or Doctor Who?
Ooh. Lock in your answers. Lollipop, your Happy Hour, your time has expired. Lock in the answer. Lollipop, you're out of time also. Is everybody locked in?
Okay. What'd you guys get? You have B, Doctor Who. Doctor Who was in 1965, so yes, that is correct.
Both of them are correct. Yay, nicely done. Nicely done, all right. Well done.
Okay. Question number 2. Which came first? Warhammer Fantasy Battles or Cosmic Encounter?
And Happy Hour, 1 second. Lock in Happy Hour. 3 seconds left on Lollipop. And time.
Okay. What are your answers? B. That is correct. Cosmic Encounter, 1977.
Nice. Well done.
Okay.
Well played.
Question number 3.
Ready?
Which came first? Agricola or Pandemic?
Ooh. 5 seconds left, Happy Hour.
Happy Hour's already
Happy Hour's locked in. You got
You guys
8
locked
seconds. Lollipop, you locked in. Everybody
Okay,
locked in.
let's see them.
Show us your cards. A.
And
Both
A,
choosing.
and that is correct. Agricola, 2007.
Wow. Has not improved with age. No, it hasn't.
Okay. No, it is not. Which came first? The D6 Generation or Game On with Cody and John?
Let's find out. Time's running.
Y'all locked in?
Are we locked in? Both sides locked in?
Okay, let's
see
see
it. A.
Yes. We started in
The D6
February and they started in October.
All right.
Okay.
Both ships are maneuvering well here,
It's
closing the
crazy.
gap.
You got to use your imagination.
They got harder. I
Okay.
think. Here we go. Ready?
Number 5. Which came first, the Twilight Zone or Outer Limits?
Ooh. 5 seconds left.
Happy
Happy Hour.
Ominous ooh.
2 seconds. Happy Hour.
And
Happy
lock
Hour's out of
in.
time. Lollipop, you got 3 seconds.
You all set? And what is it? What do you got? B and
Ooh, A and
Oh,
B.
here we go. We got 2 different answers.
Uh-oh.
The correct answer is A,
Twilight Zone.
1959, the Lollipop.
Wow.
Maneuvers for advantage.
Lollipop has the weather gauge. Woo!
Okay. And finally,
Lollipop, where are you?
Where's the Don't kill the helm.
this question is not. This question is not which came first. It is which is further north.
Here we go.
Okay. This is time and space after all.
Nice.
Okay, and this is for Owen.
Oh, nice.
Which is further north, New Hampshire or Wales?
Ooh. Wow. I don't know where either of those
Look
are.
at all the people closing their eyes imagining maps.
3 seconds, happy hour. 2, 1, happy hour, you got to lock in. Lollipop, you got a couple seconds left.
Y'all locked in? Okay. And
And
the
show 'em.
answer is... Oh,
Different.
another. Each of them answered something different. The correct answer is... whale.
Right, yeah. It was, yeah. Lollipop gets another one.
That's right. Lollipop is flying circles around happy hour.
Okay, so Lollipop had a 2-point advantage. So you have 2 points that you're going to be able to spend during the weapons launch phase and the shield phase.
Uh-oh.
So you can use a point to either add damage to your torpedo, you can use a point to give more time to your shield team, or you can use the points to take shield time away from your opponents.
Nice.
You don't have to make that decision yet. So just hold on to those points.
Hold that position.
Okay, so next up is the weapons team. Where are our weapons teams?
Woo, weapons teams, they
Okay.
look ready. They look ready and angry.
So how much...
Give me an angry face, weapon teams.
Okay, so you're going to
Warface,
get a number
Warface.
of torpedoes to load equal to 1 more than the energy that you spent. So you guys are going to get 4 torpedoes to launch. You guys are going to get 3. Oh, no, did you guys... Oh, sorry. Sorry, Happy Hour is going to launch 3 torpedoes, and you guys are going to potentially launch 4 torpedoes.
Ooh. Lollipop
we're
has
gonna
position
do-
and more weapons. That's dangerous.
Would you like to do this one, Russ?
Oh, Nicole can do it. Or Craig can do it.
She's going to do the shield.
Oh, your shields?
One later. I haven't assigned.
All right.
Okay, so what we're going to do
Oh, yeah,
is
it's
we've
fun.
got a series of words to give you clues to various geek culture related topics.
Oh, yeah.
So the first clue, if you get it, after Russ reads each clue, you guys have 5 seconds to come up with a response.
It's like $20,000 pyramid.
If you
Things
come
you
up
find
with-
at the bottom of the ocean.
If you come up with a response on the first clue, that torpedo will do 4 points of damage. Then he'll read the second clue if you don't get it. If you get it on that one, 3 points and 2 points and 1 point. If you don't get it after the 4th clue, then that torpedo tube is not loaded.
And we point at you and laugh.
Yes, we are going to accept the first answer that somebody shouts out, so you guys
Yeah.
can decide what you want to do.
If you're right,
and
you
I
get
also
swag.
forgot
If
to
you're wrong, you get
mention,
nothing.
if I see anybody taking out phones and doing anything with that, you will be ejected from the airlock.
No Google.
No Google.
All right, so is it one side at a time, Jeff, or both
Yeah,
sides?
we'll do all 4 for one side, and then we'll
Okay.
do the 3 for the other side.
So we're just doing the lollipop now, right? Yes. So lollipop, are you ready? Yes. Remember, the faster you can guess what this is about, the more damage you do. First clue, Paul. Second clue, Jessica. Third clue, Duncan. Fourth clue, Maudib. There it is, Dune.
1 point.
1 point of damage. They got on the 4th one. You could have guessed the Beatles on 4. I might have given it to you. All right. Your second torpedo. So your first torpedo does 1 point of damage. Are we tracking damage somewhere?
Yes, we are.
Nice. Go, Brian. Okay, here we go. Black Joker. The Breach. Yes, Malifaux on the second hit, so 3 points of damage. Nice.
What happens if they yell out the wrong answer?
Just move on to the next
Just a miss. It's an automatic.
Oh.
So you get a guess.
Apparently, Russ's hearing is not as good as mine.
No, he said that, but he was on the first question. He answered the wrong one. Did someone else say? Well,
Someone said Deadlands.
but on the first question though. Yeah. He got on the second clue. Yes.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had it.
Oh, I gotcha.
I had it. Come on now.
I thought you were done with it.
Come on
That's
now.
what I thought.
Engineers,
I thought we were
hello.
more brutal.
All right. Here we go. Ready? All right, this is a softball, I think. Circle. No. Scorn. Oh, is that hordes? It's would we accept that?
No, we would not.
I would
Our next one. Next one.
Accept that.
Next one is Kador. There you go. There it is. All right. That was a trick question, but Gallant ruled against you. So 2 points on that torpedo.
Did we get 2 points with the reroll?
Are you boosting?
And then that was how many torpedoes did they fire?
We get one more.
One more.
3 energy gives you 4
So they fired 3. So they got one more question. Here we go. Ben, Gwen, May. There it is. Almost went to Peter on that one. Spider-Man for 2. 2, that's it. So Lollipop did some good damage. How much total damage did you do, Brian?
Nothing yet.
You got to get past the shield.
Oh, the shields.
Let me do the next
All right, here we go.
You've got 1 torpedo for 3, 2 for 2, and 1 for 1.
Oh, this one's easy.
Over there.
Okay, ready, guys?
Happy hour. Are you rooting for happy hour? I think you are.
am.
I think we've adopted ships here. Lollipop! Lollipop!
What's that?
Can we answer as many times as we want?
Every time you answer, I go to the next clue.
It's a miss.
So, yeah.
So a wrong answer is a skip.
Right. Okay, ready? Here we go. Pedro Cantor. Orcs. 40K. Warhammer 40K. For 3.
3 points.
What? I don't. I have the answer and I wouldn't get this. Okay. Ready? King Tut.
Oh, they're going to get this.
Egghead.
He knows. You can't. You're not in that team.
Mr. Freeze.
Batman. I heard it, yeah. 2 for that one.
Batman for 2.
Yep.
And here's your last.
That's an easy
I don't
one.
even. Yeah, well, I don't even know if I can pronounce
It's
it.
a softball. Come on.
Arcturus Mensk. There you go.
Nice for 4.
4.
A 4-pointer.
So what are the totals?
A 3, a 4, a 3, and a 2.
Nice.
Yeah, 3 torpedoes.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Right. All right. So now the shield crew's got to come in and save the day here. Shield teams.
You're in trouble.
Get ready.
Okay, so now each of those torpedoes is hurtling towards the enemy ship, and the shield team is going to have an opportunity to deflect them. The torpedoes are actually going to come in the order that they were fired. So you guys, your first torpedo is worth 1 point, so that's the first one that you're going to try to block. The way that the shield team needs to block the torpedoes is Nicole is going to read an insult,
Which we've already established she's good at.
Right.
and you guys need to come up with the counter insult out of the 32 counter insults that you have listed there.
Only one insult works.
It's Monkey Island, people.
Okay, so the way it's going to work is you're going to have a fixed amount of time to deflect all the torpedoes.
Right.
Okay, so team with 1 energy in the shields, you have a total of 20 seconds. The team with 3 energy in the shields, happy hour, you have 40 seconds total. So what you can do is 1 torpedo is going to come down. She's going to say an insult. You guys can pick one response. Oh yes. Okay.
Good one.
Good
Basically, you can use. So basically, you can use a point of your helm bonus to either give your shield team an extra 10 seconds, take 10 seconds away from the other shield team, or you can use it to boost, give an extra point of damage to a torpedo. They're going to get 40 seconds.
Blame engineering. If you got bad energy, you know what to blame.
Maneuver.
40 and
maneuver,
20.
right? Maneuver, right?
No, let's just do it. Okay, so you can use both for that. Okay, so you both now just have 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Even it up. Nice.
So what you guys have to do is she's gonna read an insult. If you just want to let like the 1 point torpedo go through and save time for other things, you can just say pass, or you can just pick one, whatever, really quickly, and then we'll stop the clock and we'll read the next insult and we'll start the countdown from there.
Right.
So pick an insult. Any insult?
Do we do both ships at a time or one ship at a time?
Well, it's easier than
Do them in order, then we know which one.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Which ship are we doing first? I'm lost.
So you guys are so Lollipop is launching at happy hour. So the first torpedo is 1 strength.
Here we go. Ready?
Can I? Am I reading?
All right. Timer starting.
Okay. There are no words for how disgusting you are.
All right. Passed. Next torpedo.
3 points.
And I just keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only got 20
You're as
seconds.
repulsive as a monkey in a negligee.
I heard a cricket. And
Say
9.
it.
Say it. No.
No.
No. Time is up. Time is up for their
No,
side.
it's just time it's her reading time doesn't count.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
keep
just the time
going.
they're actually doing.
So keep going.
So they got like another 10 seconds.
Nobody's ever drawn blood from me, and nobody ever will. Nope.
This one's also with 2.
20 seconds total. Not counting
Keep going.
Nicole.
Okay, just do the next one, yeah.
Here we go.
I'll hound you night and day.
I like the cricket. What was that?
Read it. You have to read it.
You got to read it. We don't have the answers.
He got it.
Yes, you got it.
What was that? Repeat that again.
Be a good dog.
Be a good dog.
Good guy.
Stay.
Nice.
Okay. So going the other way, we've got 3
So what did they deflect? One torpedo got deflected?
The last one got deflected.
For 2.
For 2. Nice.
Okay.
All right, other side now. Lollipop, you're defending.
Just keep going to the same start. Okay.
They're readying up over there.
Ready?
Go.
Okay. You fight like a dairy farmer.
How appropriate, you fight like a cow.
Very good.
Nice.
Okay. Ready? I can't rest till you've been exterminated. Not so quick now, are you?
Odor must be fungicide.
No.
Oh, gets through.
Okay. I have the eye of a hawk.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Ready? Oh, keep going.
There's only 3.
Was it? You did it. Nice.
Okay, so how much damage got through? To ship A or ship B? Ship A.
Lollipop.
You dealt 6 damage to
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
You dealt 2 damage to Lollipop.
Oh. I gotta get some books out to the.
So now we're going to go on to turn 2, so we're going to go back to engineering.
Yeah, it's time for one more big turn. Let's do it. All right, so engineering. You haven't won any bling yet, so this is your chance. Bring it back there. Bring the whole suitcase back in a minute.
Poorly attempting to navigate the asteroid field. Both ships have taken damage, and there's an engineering special challenge.
Well done.
Nicely done.
So each engineering team must activate the automatic haiku repair drive.
It's the only way to be sure.
You guys each have 60 seconds to write a haiku that is describing a problem that is happening on the other ship. 575.
575, and it helps.
And you do not need to use Russ's rule.
But you'll get bonus stuff if you do.
You have 60 seconds.
Go.
Haiku, 60 seconds. All right. Time is going down. You can see the engineering crews feverishly sweat on their brows.
Engineers.
I'm using all the syllables in gold.
You had 15 seconds.
Having engineers writing haikus may not be the best use of this skill.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Poetry over.
Okay, we're going to start with the happy hour team. I need you guys to read your haiku.
Stand by. All right, got it.
Okay.
We scribbled, so forgive the delays.
My handwriting is fine, so nobody can read it.
Handwriting from down.
Pole with ball falls off. Engine is now stripped, threadbare. Air vent 2 made naked.
Ooh, not bad. Not bad.
That's 6. That's 6 syllables on the last.
Oh, we've got a flag on the play.
Air vent 2 made naked.
6 syllables on the last one.
Well, let's see how your guys do. We'll come back.
I'm confident.
Crews are running wild. Drunken buggers can't fly straight. Eject. Overload core.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know about the syllables in that either. Yeah.
Okay.
Syllable count, it's a wash.
Right.
So you guys need to judge which haiku you felt.
Wow, I was hoping for venting plasma. I didn't hear on that either side.
No.
So what do you think, Craig?
I don't know. I'm kind of. Yeah.
There was drunken debauchery implied on this side, right? So
Threadbareness, you did.
yeah, the threadbareness is pretty good
Yeah,
usage.
there was over here, you had actual engineering issues. Over
All right.
there, you had a bunch of drunken monkeys pushing buttons.
All right, clearly Craig and I are biased, so Nicole, you got to make the call. Nicole picks happy hour. There it is.
That's 2 points of damage for Lollipop.
Oh!
We're still losing.
Nicole, you want to give this to the engineering crew on that side for winning?
Okay, so we're going to do one final turn. This is it for all the marbles. So first, engineering. Here comes the engineering clues.
There we go.
Do you guys have your 4 cards, A, B, C, D? You got them all?
Do you have your cards, engineering? Here we go.
Okay.
Remember, number of times here for your power. First, choice A is the number of D6 generation episodes featuring Geoff from Podhammer. The number, you got to be old school for this, folks. So that's A. B is the number of times that David Weber has appeared in the show. Not the number of times he's been insulted, just the number of times he's been on the show. C is the number of times that Craig has played Agricola. And D is the most number of people ever in the third chair once, not counting today. So 80 is not an answer. Most number of people ever in the third chair, not counting this GenCon.
So distribute those cards to the different stations on the ship.
Does willingly played Agricola or ever?
Ever. Willingly or not. If you need me to reread them, let me know what you're thinking. I'll repeat them while you're thinking. So A is the number of D6 generation episodes featuring Geoff from Podhammer. B is the number of times David Weber's been on the show. C is the number of times Craig has played Agricola. And D is the number of people in the third chair, not counting today at one time. He's got a red shirt, too. He's only going to be about 30 more seconds, and he's dead.
Okay.
Montini. Wrong universe.
Okay, so Helm.
All right.
Helm, what letter did you guys get? A. Okay.
Hey.
So
A is 3.
A is 3. A is 3. Well done. A is 3. The number of times Jeff's been on the show. B is 1, the number of times that David Weber's been on the show.
Okay.
Weapons is D, which is 2, the number of times, the most people have been in the third chair, not counting today, which of course was Cody and John on the show.
I said A.
A was 3.
So that's 3 for them. And shields?
Bravo is 1, number of times David Weber's been on the show. And D is 2, Cody and John being in the third chair. Agricola answer was 0. Craig has never played Agricola.
Never?
I have, but Craig has not.
Never will.
Never will either,
Nicely
apparently.
done, Craig.
I have my standards.
Right.
Understood.
Right.
Okay, we're ready for Helm then.
Okay, are we ready?
A's and B's?
Helm, here we go. It's all about maneuver.
You got their time.
Who's got the most?
What's their time?
We're going to shorten it a little bit since they're a level 3, right? So we're going to give you guys 5 seconds to lock in your answer.
Wow.
5 seconds.
He's hardcore.
It's just
20 seconds to lock in.
20 seconds.
It's more even like a Rorschach.
Well, 5 seconds will be close enough.
Okay,
Hey,
ready?
I won't start till he gets it over. Yeah.
Okay.
5 and 15 for you guys. Okay, so
Okay, ready? Which came first? The novel Game of Thrones or On Basilisk Station?
Time over there. And 5 seconds left on this side. 2 seconds. And time. Both sides of time.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What'd you say on this side?
We've got A and B.
A and
the
B.
answer is B on Basilisk Station.
With only 5 seconds.
1993.
Patches.
96 Game of Thrones.
It looks like happy hour's finally getting sober.
Right.
Okay. Question number 2. Which came first? You guys ready? Survive, Escape from Atlantis, or Starfleet Battles?
Ooh. Not the reprint, the original printing of both. Original printing of both.
And your time is up.
Time on this side.
Happy hour.
Time on happy hour. You guys got 10 seconds. Okay.
Okay. What you guys had? B again.
Different again.
The answer is B.
Whoa! With only 5
Starfleet
seconds.
Battles in 1979 compared to 1982 for Survive. Okay, question number 3. Which came first? Mass Effect or Call of Duty?
Ooh. Video games. I like it.
Lock in happy hour.
Time happy hour. Got to commit. We're done. Both sides are committed.
Okay.
We got B for both.
B for both, and the answer is Call of Duty.
Call of 2003.
2003.
Nice.
Okay, number 4. Which came first, Pac-Man or Donkey Kong?
Ooh.
Okay, happy hour is locked in.
Gotta lock in. Not the Google Doodle. And you're up.
Lock in lollipop. A and A. The answer is A. Pac-Man, 1980.
Nice, yeah.
Number 5. Which came first? Diplomacy or acquire?
And time on happy hour.
I got it.
And 3 seconds. Lollipop.
What did
Time
you say?
lollipop. Okay, what'd you guys say?
What did you guys say?
A and B.
What did you guys say?
A.
And B. Okay, the answer is reversed. It's A. Diplomacy, 1959.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have, yeah. Wow. Pattern recognition, not my strong suit today.
Nice.
Okay, and number 6.
Geography for 100.
Which is, I'm glad you told me about the bold now, because this one would have, okay. Which is furthest west? Fantasy Flight Games or Steve Jackson Games?
Really?
The geography. And time happy hour. Lock
Happy
in.
hour.
It got harder. It's tough to maneuver now. You've been hit by asteroids. You've been shot by torpedoes. It's not easy. And time.
Lock it in.
Lock it in, Lollipop.
B and what did you guys have? B, and the answer is B. Steve Jackson Games.
Nice.
In Austin, Texas.
Nice.
Oh,
Austin, Texas. Okay, so
you sure Austin, Texas?
1
is
point
further
for
than
them.
Yeah, actually. Texas is good.
Happy hour.
Nice.
Okay, so let's move on to weapons.
Weapon systems.
Okay. We'll let Happy Hour go first this time.
Okay, they get 4 questions.
Let me go first.
Yeah.
All right, happy hour. Ready? Here we go. Again, what is the topic of these clues? Number 1, Apollo. Oh, nice hit. For 4 on Battlestar. Solid hit. Palpable even. How many torps did they get?
4.
4. Oh, nice spread. Okay, next one. Angel. Wrong.
See? I told you everyone says Buffy.
Now they'll get it though. Gambit. Bam. A 3-point hit. Oh, a little tricky now. Ooh, I like this one though. Here we go. The Archive. Ooh, nice.
That was
Nice
That
hit.
was awesome.
Give
We got
him
anything?
something.
You gotta
Next
give
one was
him
Bob.
something.
Yeah.
Not a patch. They all get patches.
That's all we got left. We're out of line. I've been too generous. Okay, here we go. Next up. Dennis. What was the answer?
Total Recall.
No.
No.
Robin. Arthur.
Oh, you're not weapons.
Wrong crew and more specific, Tim.
Holy
There you
Grail
go.
for 1.
Holy Grail for 1.
There's lovely filth over here, Dennis.
And that's 4. That's 4. Good spread though. That was a good spread. Everybody got a hit.
Okay, ready?
3, you have 2 energy, right? So 3 torpedoes.
3 torpedoes over here. Okay. Ben. Yes.
Oh, nice. Wow. Wow, that was awesome.
Again, virtual swag for you.
Yes. Here's an early patch.
Okay.
There you go.
An early patch. Okay.
It's pre-release.
Torpedo number 2. Warp.
Nope.
Cone. Yes.
Hey, nice
3.
hit. Nice.
And your last torpedo, Prussia. Blazing Sun. Yes.
Yeah,
Scorpion
nice.
Wars for 3.
Nice, that's
so
it.
4-3-3 for them.
Okay.
Shields, right?
Yep.
Ray
3
Shields.
questions.
And it's 20 seconds to answer after Nicole reads per question?
No,
20 seconds.
it's cumulative.
Total. Okay, got it.
So you have to pause it while I'm reading.
All right, got it. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, are we ready?
Ready?
Just as a tip, you're in hell. You can't. Although you may want to like put each person in charge of a couple of different answers.
Hey, look at Lollipop.
We just take out their shield. Is it coming to us first?
Yes.
Which side are we going first?
Lollipop's first this time.
Lollipop?
All right. You have 10 seconds, Lollipop.
Okay, ready?
Lollipop's up first. Here we go. Ready? Oh, well, I'll start when Nicole's done.
Have you stopped wearing diapers yet? Nice.
Nice.
That's good.
Locked.
2 seconds.
2 seconds that took you. All right,
Okay,
here we go.
ready? I got this scar on my face during a mighty struggle.
I hope now you've learned to stop picking your nose.
Oh! Only used 4 seconds so far. Nicely done.
Would you like to be buried or cremated?
Oh! No!
Time's up. Time's up total. Total time gone.
Torpedoes land. So, damage is that is 5 points of damage.
5 points to the lollipop.
Here we go. It all comes down to
Down to the
this.
insults, baby. Okay, you ready?
Hold the shield.
Lollipop must block all of these, or else the game is a tie. If they miss one, it's a tie. If they miss two, Lollipop wins.
Okay.
right.
No pressure.
Are you ready? Put down your booze. Okay.
How much time does Happy Hour have?
They have 2 power, which gives them a total of 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Wow. Okay. All right.
No, they took away all the No, we didn't have They had 2.
There was a maneuver. That was for maneuvering.
Okay, we ready? Or no? Are they just really focused? Okay.
Right.
On guard, touche. He got it.
Nice.
Hey, 2.9. Nice. Nice.
Ready? You have the manners of a beggar.
Time's running. At least mine can be identified. Is what
Nope.
he said. Wrong.
Okay.
That's a tie,
One
right?
gets through. Here it is.
Uh-oh.
You got to stop this one.
They can get this
They
one.
used
You can get
10.5
this one.
seconds.
So you've got
Okay.
Okay, you have 20 seconds.
20 seconds of the clock.
I'm not going to take your insulin sitting down.
Your hemorrhoids are flaring up.
They got it.
Hey! It's a tie! Well done. Well done, Starship commanders and crew. That was awesome.
Yeah, patches for everybody.
Everybody gets a patch.
Watch out.
Yeah, woo!
Oh, jeez.
Woo! Oh! The ceiling's coming down.
Somebody with a better arm do that.
If you did, so thank you very much to the Engelsteins for helping us out with this great. Hope you liked it.
And happy birthday to Jeff, because it's Jeff's birthday today.
Yes, happy birthday, Jeff.
Birthday today. It's my birthday tomorrow.
And
we have a couple minutes.
Yep, just a couple.
For questions, if you guys have any questions.
Q&A, anything?
Yes.
Do you have any tips for someone's first Spartan race?
Ooh.
Plan your will. Make sure that
Yeah, I would say it's all about the running, really. Everything else is...
I don't like the running part.
Yeah, me neither. But everything else is actually restful. So, yes.
I was at the War Store booth earlier today and I saw some of the new 28mm Dystopian Wars
Crazy, huh?
skirmish.
What's
They
it
look
called?
amazing.
Yep.
What can you tell us?
I can tell you that it is a totally new game that actually doesn't really use a lot of the Spartan games. Theoretically, they may change that, but right now it's supposed to be a whole new game system. It is supposed to be a war-size game system that scales from skirmish to a full-size war game at 28mm, and there's been rumors of some terrain as well. But right now you're going to see everybody's going to get infantry, some sort of special troop, command units.
Big vehicles.
Big giant vehicles,
That
including
look fantastic.
They do look good.
giant Faust robot, which is this tall.
About a foot.
It's
Are they-
crazy. About a foot, sorry. Audio medium.
Follow-up question. Sorry, are they doing all 4 factions at release? Do you know?
They are, yes.
Thanks.
At release, they're going to be all 4 of the original factions. Anybody else? Yes.
So I have yet to do it, but is X-Wing a must-buy, like from Fantasy Flight Games?
Are you a big fan of Star Wars?
Yeah.
Give him the
Are you a
answer.
big fan
Yes.
of... Actually, we have a quote from Fantasy Flight.
The designer.
It's not the designer. One of the playtesters, Mac Martin. Okay. It's not really a must-buy unless you happen to enjoy really tightly designed games that really well recreate a strategic and tactical environment in one of the best IPs ever invented.
With fantastically built models and painted models. The models are
the painting and the quality of the models is unbelievable.
Yeah, we don't even feel the desire to paint ours at all, and that's kind of rare for us.
Yeah, usually when I get pre-paint, we'll ink them and touch it. They look beautiful right out of the box.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched part of it, but then I had to come over here, so I didn't get
Oh, it was the game.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
We beat Star Wars. Woo!
High praise. Woo! The game is very fast, deadly, and lots of fun.
Cool.
Yep. Anybody else?
Well,
No? Yes.
Are you guys going to pick up a copy of Artemis? Like, were you into it enough to...
Actually, we have a friend who has a problem, a spending problem, and already has in his basement the full setup for Artemis.
Yeah.
The only thing he's missing is his screens are not touch screens.
But we figured that out.
Which is wicked lame.
Yeah, but
seriously, I mean, we only need 5 of them.
But if you had if you had iPads with a remote desktop set up on them, you could do it all with.
That was the only non-fun part of Artemis last night, was all of these guys talking about how to recreate
totally
it. Totally
geeking out on it. It was
and
awesome.
then the T5 number 2 junction, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, and then with the number 37, we could...
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, we're definitely going to get it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's already got a plan for, instead of how to host a murder mystery, he's going to do how to host an Artemis game, and it's going to have a big dinner, and then like an Admiral's farewell dinner theme, and then in the middle of the farewell dinner, like there's a giant attack. And the strange man in the back of the room.
Who is that guy?
Craig. Yes.
I think that's Rafe Hollywood Granger back there. Hello, Rafe.
Hey, Rafe. 3 of the 4 books I've worked on for Fantasy Flight are actually at the booth, or they were. They were hoping they would sell out today. I haven't seen it yet. And that was awesome because the first book that just came out, the Coronis Bestiary, was my test unit, or my test assignment for them. So it was all Eldar, which longtime listeners know I hate. So it's very ironic because there's people all over the world like, oh, let me write the Eldar, and they gave it to me, and I was like, oh, they're not that tough. That guy kind of sucks. But that was cool, but there was no real creativity. And then every assignment since then I've been able to invent entire planets and entire races and done the actual art descriptions of things that never existed until I made them up. And so, yes, it was probably the highlight of, if not the year, than this 6-month period at least. So it was awesome. Thank you. Rafe Granger, everybody. Anybody else?
Any questions? Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for coming. Make sure you get a button and a pin and
please.
a patch.
There's enough for
before you
everyone.
go.
Come on up and make sure you get a button and a patch. Thanks again to the Engelsteins.
Yes, thank you for the Engelsteins. Yes.
You in the market for deeper D6G intel? There's only one place to go for your contact in the off weeks. What you seek is located somewhere in the lost chapters. Go to the D6generation.com for further instructions.
And if you want the latest in the gaming industry news, or just game news in general, like what's out there, what's hot, check out GameSalute.com and click on the news button. It's just that simple. Tom Vassell and the crack team over there at Game Salute keeps track of all the latest hotness. You don't have to. Also, Game Salute does great things like demo great games from a lot of different independent developers at major cons like GenCon. They have a massive booth there.
They had a huge presence, including making every announcement that was made throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I don't think that was really Dan, but it sounded like him, though.
Really? It wasn't Dan?
I don't think so, but it sounded a lot like him.
It did sound like him. It wasn't him. We know it wasn't him, but it was funny because people were asking him all weekend long if it was him.
Is that you, Dan? They had a fantastic staff there, as usual. All the folks that work for Game Salute are fantabulous, and they're just demoing all kinds of crazy games. It's a great way for the game industry. That's just one of the services Game Salute provides. So if you're a gaming store and you want to get listed on the game store locator, or if you're thinking about producing a game or getting ready to kickstart something, head over to GameSalute.com and get all the different ways that they can help you out.
Absolutely.
This is Total Fangirl. Regular Jane most days, total fangirl when the moment strikes. Han shot first. Starbuck is a guy. And Lestat, now there's a vampire. Hey everyone, this is Nicole, your Total Fangirl. You can find me on Twitter at Nicole Wakelin and check out my blog, TotalFangirl.com. This week's shout out is check out the OG Games Twitter account. That's at OG Games. Follow for exclusive OG Twit deals and competitions. www.oggames.co.uk. And since we just came back from GenCon, I'm going to talk about GenCon, some of the things that I thought were really cool. I know the guys talked quite a bit about X-Wing Star Wars miniatures because it was such a fun game. I actually just wrote up a review that went live on my website, Total Fangirl, today, so you can check that out if you're interested in reading a bit more about the game, but I can't say enough good things about it. But to GenCon in general, once again, a fantastic, fun convention. The thing that's so cool about it, if you've never been, is that it's just so very much your people when you're there. You go to fan conventions like San Diego or New York, and you've got all sorts of different fans, people who like TV shows or books or movies, or, you got your Twilight fan next to your Doctor Who fan next to your Wargamer. It's quite an eclectic group. But when you go to Gen Con, you've got gamers, just gamers everywhere. I love that you walk into your hotel, and especially later on after the convention closes the main floor, you walk in and every available play surface, whether it's a couch or a corner or the bar or tables, is covered with people playing games. Even if you walk upstairs a few floors, you'll find that the chairs and little sofas and tables that are in between the elevators, those will have people playing games. It is really, truly the best 4 days in gaming. We had a great chance to talk to a lot of the people that were there with Geek Nation Tours this year, and I've got to say that was one of the highlights for me because it was so fun to meet people who had planned an entire vacation around going to Gen Con. It wasn't just, I'm going to hop in the car and gonna drive there with my buddies. These guys, they really planned it out. They really made an adventure of the entire thing, and they were all just so excited to be able to be there and to be able to see what was there and to play some games and to just talk to other gamers, which more than anything is why I like the convention. I got to meet a lot of folks on Twitter that I haven't seen before. I got to hook up with some of the people that I have met before. And I also got to go to the Sorrow of the Seas launch party. That game was recently on Kickstarter, and he had the official launch party he had scheduled at Gen Con, which was very fun. We got little Sorrow of the Seas pins, and there was a big cake, and I had a lovely dinner. And it was very cool to see a Kickstarter to finally see that it actually happened, to actually see the game, because they were demoing it at Gen Con. So I was very excited to be able to participate in that. And once again, I just want to say thank you to everybody who listens to the show, who was there and came up and said hello to me and to Russ and to Craig. We all have such a good time at Gen Con, and when you guys say, hey, you know what, I will listen to the show and I like this and I like that, and oh my gosh, it's great to meet you, it's kind of a thrill for us because we do this because it's fun, it's work, but it's fun. And to hear that you guys actually like it, we love it when people come up and say hello. So thank you, all you gamers out there, for making Gen Con what it was, and I can't wait to meet even more of you next year.
OMG, OMG, OMG.
Wow,
so
that was a lot of OMGs.
One of my favorite booths at Gen Con this year was definitely the War Store booth. They had to drag me out of there because not only do they have the complete suite. Here's the thing, right? You pick up the hot, X-Wing game or whatever from Fantasy Flight, and you're like, but I don't have a Starfield map to play on. No problem. War Store carries them. Or you're like, I just got into Malifaux, need a map to play. Oh, War Store's got it. No problem. But they have right there at Gen Con. Everything you need, tape measures, dice, whatever you need. But it's the better part. They love Spartan Games so much that they're premiering a lot of the Spartan Game stuff. Unfortunately, Spartan couldn't make it to the Gen Con this year. I know they really wanted to. It didn't work out. But still, there it all was. And Spartan Games, right before Gen Con, announced, what did they announce? They announced Dystopian Legions. And guess who had it on display there? Fully painted, first time in the world premiered models, right there in the War Store booth. The new Dystopian Legion. And did you see the giant robot, Craig? Oh,
I did see the giant robot. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, man.
I liked the FSA bikers myself.
They were fantastic too.
The cavalry bikers.
So you don't know, it's a 28 millimeter, Dystopian Wars game now. 28 millimeter, huge stuff. Yeah. But here's the thing. Here's what makes the War Store awesome. They're there displaying this stuff for all the miniature games. All the miniature game guys that couldn't afford to have space, maybe at Gen Con, or couldn't make it out there because it's too far away. They've got it. They have every miniature game you can imagine right there on display, ready for you to buy it at the con. All kinds of great con specials. They've really got the best prices on the internet. Be sure to check out thewarstore.com for all the latest miniature gaming news, as well as great prices on all the miniature gaming stuff you could ever want.
I'm Dan, your friendly professional game guide. Welcome back to When You Wish Upon a Game, where we discuss ways we can make the game industry better. After a brief break for conventions, and more conventions, I'm back. I'm recording this after mostly having recovered from Gen Con, and I'm packing up to head to PAX in Seattle and then Escapist Expo in North Carolina after that. It's been a busy year for conventions for me since we've been setting up booths at most shows for Game Salute. At the end of 2012, I will have attended 10 conventions and trade shows. These shows are a great opportunity to meet all sorts of folks who make up the game industry, from designers to publishers to store owners to would-be store owners to gamers of every variety you can imagine. It's great to see the passion expressed for certain games, certain designers, and certain companies. But what strikes me most strongly is how extensive the industry is, and how much the people who make up the industry are simultaneously performing parallel experiments with similar concepts rather than following a fixed plan. In other words, they're not just looking at an industry leader and saying, I'll do it that way. Companies are trying things out for themselves. Especially with so many new companies popping up making new games enabled by Kickstarter, we have tons of folks with relatively little experience trying to navigate the fickle currents of the gaming industry. Some of the biggest successes, for instance, at GenCon, didn't have actual demos of their games. They just didn't have enough staff. It's just a matter of managing that growth for the successful companies and knowing what to do for the inexperienced companies. And bigger, more established companies are generally sticking with the tried and true. They're releasing or re-implementing existing game lines, releasing fewer games, but focusing on making sure they're getting the exposure that they need. Smaller companies are releasing more and more games as a percentage of the marketplace, accelerating the quantity of games hitting the market by 300% or more over what we saw before this wave a couple years ago. Over the next year, it's going to be very interesting to see this wave of new endeavors sort themselves out, with new entrants in the marketplace getting experience and realizing all the aspects of the challenges of operating in the industry. Most will fail, as in any industry, and some will rise to the top. But all will find unexpected challenges, and all will need allies to help them survive and thrive. What truly astonishes me is how unprepared even existing companies are for recurring events. Very few publishers have an established plan for the simplest things like replacement pieces, demo programs, convention layouts, volunteer support, etc. Each entity is working through their own plans without paying too much attention to the landscape around them, and are therefore repeating mistakes and losing focus. And how will gamers react to a tsunami of new games? Will purchasing increase, or will folks just be more choosy? Or will players get burned out by trying enough games from untested designers and publishers and being disappointed by them that they'll steer clear of new titles until other folks who are less risk-averse invest the time and money to try them out? One thing is certain. The more crowded the market becomes, the more imperative it is that we continue to grow and add new players if we want to support it. That's what I see when I wish upon a game. How about you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you see the industry working now and where you see it going. Is everything hunky-dory? Are there trends that have you concerned about certain companies or certain products or just certain types of games? Are there particular developments in the industry that are new and exciting for you? What do you see from your perspective? Email me at wish@gamesalute.com. Thanks for listening and have fun playing.
Welcome back. Now, at this stage, Craig and I have returned from Mecca.
We have.
We are back.
Indeed, Mecca.
Sadly, I've got a little bit of con crud, so you might be hearing my voice here. My throat's a little bit bothering me.
Well, sadly, I'm the only one apparently who didn't get it.
Yeah, well, you just hang in there. But so the good news is we did
get sick now. It's hardly con crud.
We got a lot of great games. We really did.
We did.
And we played a lot of these great games. And we figured it would not be fair to only review one game at this point. We try to fit in two.
We're going to try.
So here we go. We're going to try to give you the full review of Evil Baby Orphanage and X-Wing. So up first, bring on the babies.
Bring on the babies.
Let's get the overview here. So published in 2012 by Wyrd Miniatures.
Moments ago.
Literally, and Kickstarted. And the entire game, we understand, according to both the designers, Mac Martin as well as Eric Johns, Justin Gibbs is also involved. They mentioned that they did the entire thing in 6 weeks, which is pretty crazy, including the Kickstarter. What's the MSRP on this, Craig? Is it like $18?
I believe it is $18.
$18.
Yes.
And they just finished a Kickstarter, and there was on sale at GenCon as well. Pretty little boxes, about the size of a card box, nothing fancy. So, Craig, Eric did a great job of sort of summarizing the concept of this game, because I first heard about it, I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But after Eric summarized it for us and offers a demo.
Yes. This is one of those games that needs the energy and commitment of people who are looking to have fun with this game.
Why don't you summarize how Eric summarized the theme of Evil Baby Orphanage?
Well, you see, imagine a reality where time travel has been invented. And of course, in almost all genres where time travel comes in, eventually someone has the idea we should really go back and kill Hitler.
Right.
But then what happens if some bleeding heart group steps up and says, it's inhumane to kill Hitler because now that you have access to the entire timeline, you're actually literally killing a baby if you go so far as to kill Hitler as an adult, because you could go back and kill him as a baby. Well, this spawns the genius idea, probably by some government agency, to go back and kidnap all of the most evil people in the world in history, but kidnap them as babies.
Right.
Bring them forward in time and put them in a special orphanage to raise them as productive, normal members of society.
And then go back and stick them in the timeline, right?
Exactly. And then insert them back in the timeline as an accountant or, whatever. And so what you are doing is and this is a very, very light game. So don't be like, oh, but I don't know how to do time machines, blah, blah, blah. That's silly. Okay. So each person is a time nanny. Each player is a time nanny. And all you're going to be doing is collecting all of these evil babies from history. And of course, the most successful time nanny will be the one who is successfully collected the most mischievous, because they're babies now, so they can't really be called evil except on the cover. Okay. So the most mischievous or mischievous, depending on where you are currently listening from, babies in all of history.
And the game on the box will tell you it plays 3 to 8 players. 8's probably pushing it.
It actually says 3+ players.
Right.
15 to 45 minutes, which is really pushing it.
Yeah, the sweet spot's probably about 4 players. I think we both.
I would say 4 players.
You can get more in there, but we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah. Playtime, as Craig mentioned, 15 to 45 minutes, so it's a filler game.
It says on the box.
It's meant to be a filler game. And if it plays longer than a filler game, it probably outstays its welcome. But as a filler game, it is fun. Let's talk about that.
Yes, indeed.
And in the box, you're going to get not much. Back deck of cards, right? You're going to get a 2-page rules pamphlet. And I love the style this is written in. The very second or third sentence.
It's actually two-sided, one page.
Right. And the rules basically says, these rules for the game aren't much more complicated than time travel. So that's how we like it. So basically, it's tongue-in-cheek the whole way through, which is what you really need to be doing with Evil Baby. And I love these cards. They're beautiful. They're glossy, great quality, and the artwork is phenomenal. There's great little cartoony, and if you've seen the Kickstarter, cartoony little babies, they actually look, scarily so, like the evil person they represent if they were made into a cute baby.
Right, exactly.
Which is a little freaky. You get 2 decks in the box. One deck is the baby deck, and the baby deck includes all your evil babies, plus a few time machines, and it's great. The time machines are non-IP infringing time machines, but they look a lot like famous time machines
from
you might know. Like a blue telephone box and maybe a
sports car from the 80s or some
metallic
type.
car, 80s car, that kind of thing. Good fun. And then also Bill and Ted maybe in there. Then also there's the nanny deck. Now the nanny deck is full of basically action cards that you can kind of do out of phase, as well as a bunch of toys, which we'll get to more how those work in a little bit.
Yeah.
And as Craig mentioned, the goal of this game is to be the first to collect, by the strict rules of the game, 10 mischief points. Now each baby card has got a little number in the upper left-hand or right-hand corner, one of the corners. That is the number of mischief points that baby's worth. So if all the babies in front of you, we'll get to that in a second, add up to 10, at the start of your turn, boom, you win, game over, you are the master time nanny.
Right.
Bam.
Yeah.
Setting up the game is pretty simple, right? You're going to shuffle the 2 decks up separately, make your nanny deck and your baby deck in the middle of the table there. You're going to deal each time nanny 4 cards from the nanny deck for the starting hand.
Yeah.
And then you're also going to make the time stream. Now, the time stream is in the center of the table, and you're going to put 3 face-up babies there. These are the babies that are sitting there waiting to be grabbed from time. Now, sometimes, remember, the baby deck, in addition to babies, are also time machines. So sometimes in the time machine, in the time stream, you will see a time machine, right?
Yeah.
And then also, each player is dealt 1 starting evil baby, which will be up in front of them, and that's going to be your orphanage. So there's a little play area in front of you. That's going to be the evil babies that are in your orphanage, plus any toys or things you put on the table. So beginning, you got a baby. And then player 1 is determined by who looks the most like their evil baby, which is kind of funny. All right, so how this thing begins. At the very first thing you do is check for win conditions. Do I have 10 mischief points? I win. And this is interesting because you can't get them by the end of your turn. You got to get them by the beginning of your turn, which means the rest of the table has an entire round, if they're paying attention, to stop you if you suddenly hit 10 points. So it actually is very much
a little screw your neighbor element to the game. You're kind of looking at your opponent going, oh, everybody stop Craig, he's at 10, and everybody tries to stop Craig and steal his babies, and that kind of thing. Which is why it gets kind of tough at 8 players, because it's very easy for someone to stop somebody. Although over time, eventually, pretty much every baby is somewhere, and it gets hard to not win eventually.
Yeah.
The next thing you do after you check to see if you've won is you're going to play any nanny cards you'd like. Now, in your hand, you're going to have a bunch of these nanny cards, which are basically going to be either actions you can play, and they'll tell you very clearly in the card what you can do, or it might be toys. There are good toys, and there are bad toys, right, Craig?
Yes,
absolutely. Can you think of some sample of maybe
there
some...
are things like the Gandhi Ninja doll.
Right. And so there are all kinds of crazy toys. And basically, they're either going to be used to supervise your babies and keep them from doing something you don't want them to do, or you're going to play them on opponents' babies to get them to do something when they maybe don't want them to happen, or play them on your own to get them to misbehave immediately. So there's kind of good toys and bad toys that way. And then there's these plenty nanny cards that just say different things that you can do in the middle of a phase, and some of the nanny cards can be played out of phase to stop someone. My favorite is use your words, which basically means stop doing that.
Right.
And it's basically the no card or the denied card. Yeah. So you're going to play any nanny cards you want, and then it's the supervise phase. Now, this is sort of interesting. So in front of you, there are some number of evil babies. In the beginning, there's going to be one, but as the game progresses, you're going to get more babies. And you're going to move from left to right in the order of your babies, activating each of your baby, because basically each of your babies is going to try to do what's called an unsupervised activity. Now, what's cool about your baby cards is on the very top, there's the name of your baby. Give us some examples of evil babies, Craig, we saw in the game.
I would love to give you some examples of evil babies. Well, of course... right on the edge of acceptability, there's Adolf Hitler, Kim Jong-il, too soon, Joseph Stalin, Fidel Castro, the Unabomber, John Wilkes Booth, Napoleon Bonaparte, and my personal favorite, Rutherford B. Hayes.
Right. Eric explained why he's in there, but it's still a long explanation. But anyway,
somebody, they have a YouTube video now that Wyrd has put out explaining why Rutherford B. Hayes. Not only is he an evil baby, but he's the only other than Adolf Hitler, I believe, the only 2 babies that have a mischief rating of 4. Everybody else is 0 through 3. Then you've got Hitler, which makes perfect sense to me. And then poor Rutherford B. Hayes.
Right. Now, what's interesting about the baby, so you got their mischief number in the corner you care about, their name, a cute little 1 or 2 sentence line about why they're evil.
The time period they're come from, which I think is awesome.
A little background material.
This is also like a learning tool.
It is. And then at the bottom, then there's going to be some icons, and these icons are the things the baby's going to do when he or she is unsupervised.
Yeah.
There would also be some bonus text at the very bottom that gives special rules to the baby. Most babies just have some icons. Right. There are 4 major icons in the game. There is the bully icon, and that basically means when your baby activates, if he's got the little bully icon, which looks like a little fist, you can force another time nanny to give up one of their babies and pass it to either the left or the right.
Because it's been bullied.
There's a biter icon, which basically means your baby's a nibbler. And that'll cause one of your babies you own, not the one that's a biter, to leave your own orphanage and have to move to the left or the right, your choice.
Resulting in such phrases in game as, of course, now I'm not going. Yes, Caligula bites Adolf Hitler.
Exactly. Now, after bullying and biting, there's also grabby. These babies will actually try to take toys or time machines from your left or right and bring them into your orphanage. And finally, there's the creepy baby, who basically just leaves your orphanage and wanders off either left or right. So obviously, some of these things you're going to want to have happen, usually grabby. Other things you may not want to have happen, like have him leave. If he's got the points you need to keep him in your orphanage, you want him to wander out. So when your baby gets ready to be unsupervised and misbehave, you can discard good toys and say, I'm going to give up my bouncy ball to supervise the Unabomber so he will not be creepy and leave my orphanage. Right? So that's what you can do. There are also bad toys. So let's say, oh, I'd really want my grabby guy to grab now, or your grabby guy to go, or I want to make Craig's creepy guy leave his orphanage so he does not get the points for him next turn. I can play my bad toy on creepy and make him go immediately.
Yep.
Right? That's the kind of thing you can do. So basically, again, really simple. Check for win conditions. No. Play any nanny cards in your hand you want to play, and then supervise your babies, run from left to right, and do all the little icons and fire them all off. Okay? Yep. After all that's done, you're going to adopt. This is where that time stream comes in. So remember, in the middle of the table, we got a time stream. We got a deck of cards, and we got 3 face-up babies and or time machines, right? And we can now take one of those and put it in our orphanage. Basically, recruit a new baby. As soon as you take one from the time stream, another one comes off the top of the deck and replaces it. So there's always 3 things in the time stream. Okay? After you've recruited your new baby and or time machine, now you are ready to draw back up to 4 cards. So if your hand has gotten lower than 4 cards, you're going to draw up to 4 nanny cards again. Your turn's over. It's now passes to the left. The next player does the same thing you just did.
Right.
That is the whole game. And you play
the whole game.
You play until someone hits 10 mischief points, pretty much is the scoop. That's it. So
that's all there is to it.
So let's rate this thing. But Craig, before we do that, in the style of an evil baby of your choice, you choose your favorite
choice.
evil baby. Yeah.
An evil baby.
We have to sound like a baby.
choice.
You can't do like adult version. It's got to be evil baby.
Right. Well, clearly.
In the
yes.
style of an evil baby, please describe the patent pending D6G rating system.
My personality is shifting as we, I never thought of myself as evil. All I did was hide behind that curtain and then shoot that man in the head. Then I jumped down onto that stage and I yelled something in Latin and I broke my leg, which made running away very, very hard. But before all that happened, I was just a baby. And as a baby, I used to think, how can I tell my other baby friends at the evil baby orphanage whether the toys are better or worse than other toys? For instance, when you're talking about toys, some people, like Kim Jong-il, love the rocket ship. And other people, like little baby Hannibal, loves the puppy-sized elephants. But some people really like the bad toys, like Genghis Khan, who likes Good Night Lunar Base. Or, of course, Edward Teach's favorite toy, the Sippy Cup of the Damned.
I love that one.
So how do I rate these toys for my little evil baby friends? So I came up with this theory, and the theory is that, this is a card game I live in, so I don't have any dice. But if I did have a die, what I would do is I would roll it. And the more numbers from that result that would be good means that the little toy is good. So, for instance, on a 2+, that means if I roll that die, anything from a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 is a good thing. So that's a really good toy. But if I really don't like the toy, like I really don't like the ukulele, I would say the ukulele is a 6. And that means if you roll a die, you're only going to like the ukulele if it's a 6. And that's 1 out of 6. So that's not a lot. So the lower the number, the better the toy. Like play money.
Thank you very much.
And the higher the number, the worse the toy. Like the Taser Ducky 9000 or the improvised Teddy device.
Nice.
That's all.
Keep the improvised Teddy device away from the Unabomber, please, baby.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Craig. That was excellent. So I'll give my thoughts first here. That was really good. I love the art, the flavor, and the theme of this game. And it's funny because when I first saw the Kickstarter, I was kind of like, that's cute, but whatever. But after playing it, I really got into it. I don't know if we just had the right mix of folks there or whatever, but Nicole and I both, we played the demo, and we both were like, next day we got to go get this from the Wyrd booth. It was really fun. I like the mechanics. It's a silly game. But there's just enough interest to the mechanics to make it. There's a little bit of strategy there. You can kind of figure, okay, if I gotta let the biter bite, but I don't let him go, and I work that out. I can shovel this one over to Craig, and that'll knock one of baby's heads at orphanage. So there's a little bit of there's some combos and stuff you can do that are kind of fun. It's a great filler if you can keep it slow. The only problem with it is it can go long if players just don't play quickly, and if you just get a little bit of bad luck and no one actually hits 10, or if people are really, really good at foiling everybody else's plans, and the game can kind of go a long time. So. Right. I think Craig and I discussed the idea maybe of a house rule where with more players you definitely don't have to go to 10 mischief points. Maybe you only go to 6 or 7 if you've got a really high player count. So you may want to play with that a little bit. It's easy to tweak right with your local group to figure out what you like. So I'm going to give this a 3+ as a filler game. If you're thinking of looking for a fun filler, a little bit silly, you got friends who kind of dig this sort of thing, a little bit of history in there, because it is kind of fun to look at the history and go, oh, that's great, I love that guy being in there, and how they work's kind of funny too. So yeah, if you got a person that's kind of a history buff or whatever, I think you'll like it. So I'm going to give it a 3+ in general, folks. If you don't like random games that don't have a lot of depth to them, there's a little bit of depth here, but I'm going to give it a -1 for folks who are a little more like their meatier games. So
Alrighty. Well, I too love the art, and the text and the theme. I think the game I think Munchkin is cool if you like the theme of that particular version of Munchkin because of all the inside jokes and the funny little things. Right. And I think that's why Munchkin gets very, very tired after its first play. I loved this game because the actual mechanisms of Munchkin are very, very, very simplistic. I liked the being a relatively big history fan myself. I loved looking at how all of these dark figures from history, and not so dark, some of them, were translated into little babies, not only in the pictures, which was awesome, but also in their little unsupervised icons where you're like, absolutely, I could totally see Adolf Hitler being a babbling, bully, creepy kid.
Right.
And that's, or Kim Jong-il, who's not only is a bully, but if he has the toy rocket, you can't bully people in his right. orphanage. It's clearly a lot of thought went into this. A lot of research went into the. I mean, I think there's over 40 evil babies, and so or just unfortunate and sad to be in here. There are some that, of course, history the jury is still out. Poor Lizzie Borden has never been proven to be guilty, but right. There she is with a mischief rating of 3 and a vicious biter to boot. So I thought that was awesome. Much like Russ, I thought the mechanics they fit in with the theme great. They're very fast and they're very fun. When we played it the very first night with a bunch of the Geek Nation Tours guys and Eric Johns ran the game for us and played with us, I too knew that I would be buying this game the very next day when the con started, just because it's so funny and again, it's not going to be funny if you're playing with a lot of I don't know, collectible card gamers of no particular stripe, and all you're doing is you're counting your mischief and you're looking and you're playing your games and you're countering and blah, 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 blah. This game is not that fun if you don't buy into it and just enjoy it. Right. Okay, the mechanisms are deeper, I think, and they're more fun than Munchkin and those other kinds of games, but they're not going to support you Magic players. There, I said it. Okay, if you're just going to be like, if you're not going, Benito Mussolini babbles, right. Or the Unabomber is creepy and wanders off. I mean, if you're not reading the text and having fun with it, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. Right. And I think. I played it a couple times over the weekend. I demoed it after I bought it because I wanted to demo it for some friends. I played it again last night, so it's been getting a lot of play with me, and I've been able to gauge the people that I've been playing with and their excitement for it. And I would say slightly more than 50% of the people are really enjoying it and want to play it again. So, given all of that, I think I will pretty much fall directly in line with Russ and say 3+.
3+, even though only 50%. Okay, good. I like it.
So slightly more than 50% of the people are enjoying it to the point where they want to play it again or buy it themselves.
All right. And there you have it. That, of course, is Evil Baby Orphanage.
Yay!
Of course,
reporting.
Not Evil Baby
standing by.
Orphanage.
Red 7 standing by. Red 3 standing by. Red 6 standing by. Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position.
All right, Craig, are your S-foils locked in attack position?
No, because I'm in a TIE fighter.
Nice. All right, well, I'm going to fry you with my S-foils. Now locked in attack position. I'm switching all power to front deflector screens, and we're ready to rock. It is time now for our Mega X-Wing review.
Yes.
Indeed. I'm accelerating attack speed as well. I'm ready for this.
In attack position. So that was the digitally remastered audio you just played.
That was indeed the digitally remastered. So this thing came out just recently, right? It came out not too long ago. In fact, there we go. Oh, good. My auto got a little carried away there. So basically, it came out just released at GenCon, actually.
Again,
2012.
Mere days ago.
Now, what's interesting about this game, I will say that we knew all about it going in. We demoed it last year. Yep. Was excited about it last year. Was interested to see the final version of the products. And we saw, and the rules came out in PDF before we even went down, so we kind of knew all about it. Yeah. And despite all that, I think we were all impressed, even after knowing all that going in.
Yep.
So let's get into it.
Lead designer of the game was Jason Little. He's been known for Blood Bowl team manager, as well as helping out with the Chaos in the Old expansion.
Yep.
Of course, the game is fundamentally based on the Wings of Glory rule set, but a lot of tweaks going on here. We'll talk about that as we get into it.
Yeah.
What is basically the theme here, Craig?
Well, the theme is you're a farmer on Dantooine.
No.
No.
Well, you might have been once, but not anymore.
Is it a dog fighting in the Star Wars universe game?
Yes, it would be that. Exactly right.
That's right. And a very quick note to those of you who aren't really aware, there's really no effort in the Star Wars movies to go with real, actual three-dimensional physics. So the game doesn't really worry about that either. So those of you who didn't know that many of the starfighter battles, especially in Star Wars, the first movie, were actually based on World War II fighter footage. It's time now to just be aware of that and don't go into the game, especially near me, and then go, how come you can't? It's not three-dimensional. What if you can't turn sideways and blah, blah, blah? Because this is an awesome game, so shut up.
Yeah, no, Star Wars does not model microgravity combat. That would be Babylon 5 would be a good
that would be Babylon 5, which is an awesome TV show.
But not Star Wars. Star Wars is modeled on the fighter concept, as Craig mentioned. Lucas liked the old World War II footage of fighters, and so that's what he did with Star Wars, which is why you see him banking over and things like that right at Star Wars.
Right.
So anyway, it's still a lot of fun, and if you always wanted a dogfight in the Star Wars universe, and you like computer games like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, this baby is right up your alley. So, Craig, what's in the box?
Oh, well, what's in the box? The box is chock full of stuff, actually. It is this beautiful, glossy 28-page rule book, which is really, really cool.
With an index. I love
it. It does not have a table of contents.
No, but a little index. I like that.
It has an index. It has a quick reference.
It has an index also, but it's not quite on the last page. It's like 3 pages.
Oh, it's got like production notes. Oh, it's cool, like Star Wars production notes.
Yep.
Oh, that's too cool. Yes, there is an index. See? Very nice. There's a very nice index, actually. I hadn't gotten that far because you taught me how to play the game. So, but anyway, quick start rules, which are like really cool demo rules.
But don't bother with the quick start rules. Those are for people who fly T-16 Skyhoppers. Not for you. Go. If you're a gamer, go right to the real meaty rules. That's what I'm telling you.
I mean, it's only 28 pages, so take a break.
I think if you play this quick start rules, it's kind of like Leviathans. You might be like, this is okay, but where's the meat? The meat's in the full version, baby.
That's true, because all the special rules are not incled in
all the good
quick
stuff.
Start. You've got 11 maneuver templates, which are little arcing, for the most part, little arcs. Little beautiful, the linen card stock that FFG uses, of course, and their little arcs to indicate maneuvers. 3 maneuver dials, which is awesome, which is a little...
That's okay.
What was that?
Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to that noise.
A little dial where you choose. It's got all of your maneuver options on it, and it's, of course, different from each starship. And so you can choose what maneuvers you want to do. 13 mission tokens, so things like tracking, and there's a little space shuttle mission and little satellites, so those are cool. And then lots of other tokens that we'll talk about in a minute. 13 ship cards. Those are... Each ship card is the specific pilot and ship type that pilot flies. So that means 13 different options right out of the box. So it's not just an X-Wing against 2 TIE fighters. It's this guy in an X-Wing and these 2 guys in TIE fighters. And so it takes care of all that cool stuff.
And yes, Luke is in the core game.
He is indeed. 33 damage cards, which are cool. We'll talk about those later. Upgrade cards, because who wants to ride a bog standard spaceship?
Right. Slap some proton torpedoes in there, some concussion missiles. Now we're talking.
There we go. 8 double-sided ship tokens for the bases, which are really cool. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. 1 range ruler, very necessary.
May I just say, too, this is the awesomeness of the detail in this game, okay? The range ruler is double-sided.
Yes, it is.
The double-siding has no mechanical value to the game whatsoever. It's just one side is red laser blasts, because that's what the rebels shoot, and the other side is green laser blasts, because that's what the Imperium shoots. And it's great fun, because you're like, no, I need the green side because I'm using a TIE fighter.
Is it the Imperium or is it the Empire?
Same thing. Same difference.
Is it?
Isn't the Imperium the pluralius word for Empire?
No, because in 40K it's not the Empire, it's the Imperium.
Oh, I thought that was interchangeable. My bad.
No.
Learn something new every day.
I don't know. It might be in the Star Wars universe.
I have no idea.
I'm just saying. I don't want to. I don't want to get any more emails.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's all I'm saying.
Email us. Let us know. Honestly, I don't know the difference between Imperium and Imperial. I would think the lands of the Empire would be the Imperium. I just thought that was the way you said that.
Right. Well, that is not really.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I don't know though. It could
What does
very well
Imperium
be
mean
in
then?
Star
I don't even know.
Wars. I don't know.
I'm confused. Okay. Anyway,
It is
moving on.
well, never mind. Okay. So, flight poles and bases for the 3 ships, of course. The Range Ruler is in there twice. No, I just said it twice. 2 painted TIE fighters and 1 painted X-Wing. And the quality of these models is not to be believed until you've seen it.
Right. If you've ever seen like one of those Christmas ornaments that look really, really cool, these are even cooler, and they're smaller. So,
these are not your standard pre-paints. These have been weathered. There are unit markings on them. They look beautiful. I have you know me. I love painting my stuff, and I even touch up my pre-paints on almost every occasion. I have no interest. In fact, I don't even know what I could do to these models to make them look cooler, except maybe paint over their current units' colors with a different units colors so that I can have multiple units. And I don't think I want to be that fiddly because really every correct. I mean, it's obvious they poured over all of the source material and all the different markings are there. It's just amazing.
Yeah, don't think these are board game bits that are painted. These are models.
Yeah,
as if someone you knew who could really, really paint well. You got a model and they painted it for you.
Hard plastic models too, so don't think that old Star Wars miniatures battleship or starship game either that had all the the twisty, bendy TIE fighters and stuff
then,
like that.
Which also we should mention is how these things go together. So in addition to this fantastic looking painted plastic model, you also get this really cool clear base, and it's square. And into this base, you're going to insert a square cardstock that is particular to the variant of the fighter you're flying. So if it's Luke's X-Wing, you'll put the Luke X-Wing thing in the base. If it's a generic Rebel pilot, you'll put that square in the base because the square in the base shows firing arc, but also has icons on it for quick reference to kind of know what kind of special rules he can do, which is great because if you're the player or the opponent, you can see, oh, he's got access to target lock, he's got access to barrel roll. You can see those things based on just the base card, which is really nice. It's also got the basic stats of the fighter there too, hull points and everything else. So you can, at a glance on the table, without even looking at your opponent's cards, know what he's got on the fighter. Then on top of that, you're going to snap in these two little these 2 poles. Each fighter goes on 2 poles, which gives it a little more altitude above the table. Also, there's these little numbers that go into the base, these special slots that serve 2 purposes. One, they hold down the base card, but 2, they're numbered on them. So, and there's a bunch of these sets. I don't know, there's like 15 of them. And there's 3 numbers. So there's 3 copies of the number 1, 3 copies of the number 2. So you put one number 1 in the front of the stand, one number 1 in the back of the stand, and then one number 1 in your card. That indicates that that's X-Wing number 1 that goes with card 1. So if you had 2 X-Wings, one with Luke in it and one with Wedge in it, the numbers also quickly and easily tell you who is who. This is great for TIE fighters as well because you might have a lot of TIE fighters all from Imperial Academy, and now you can just Imperial Academy, excuse me. Now you can put the numbers in there.
That one I know is wrong.
Right. So that makes it easy to identify your planes, which is really your ships, which is nice. And then on top of those 2 poles, you put your fighter model. So it looks great, easy to spot, looks fantastic, and it's an easy way to mark who's what and where, and it's very obvious what's going on. So one thing that's been hitting this game a lot, and fairly, I guess, is the price point. The base game is $40, $39.95, right? And it comes with just 3 fighters, 1 X-Wing and 2 TIE fighters. And then each additional ship that you can buy, whether it's another X-Wing or whether it's some of the other ships that don't come in the box, like a Y-Wing or a TIE Advanced, those are $15 per blister for 1 ship.
Right.
Now, that's not cheap. But so I've been telling people, look, if you're a board gamer, you're going to have sticker shock gear. But if you're a miniature gamer who's used to paying $12 to $16 for a single unpainted, unassembled figure, this price point I think is really pretty good.
Right.
Well, Craig, what do you think?
Well, I think I think I was a little when I saw the price point, but when you take into consideration what comes with it, because what comes with it? Well, it comes with its stand. It comes with the flight peg that goes with it, the 2 that go together. And then it comes with 2 sheets, little sheets, so they fit in the blister, but 2 sheets of the linen cardstock, exactly the same thickness and everything else, of all the different tokens that support that ship, of all the different options that that ship comes with it. It comes with two little mini decks of cards, including the pilot and ship cards and the more upgrade cards. So at each time, so it is really an expansion. It's not just a little model with the rules for that model. It comes with more things that will enrich the game overall as well.
Right. And keep in mind, too, that the dials, which you get into a second, the dials that you use for your maneuvers are different for every ship.
Yeah.
So you're restricted to certain maneuvers based on the type of ship you have. TIE fighters are more maneuverable, but maybe Y-wings are slower but tougher. And you get a special dial with this as well. So you get the two-part dial, which snaps together also. So this is, there's as Craig said, there's more to this than just a ship in a box. But I would argue, even if there were just a ship in a box, it's a pretty good price if you compare it to miniature gaming. If you're a miniature gamer, these prices are not crazy. So I don't know, that's how I feel about it. I don't know, Craig, do you feel the same way? Or?
No, I totally feel 100% the same way. To the point where I tried desperately to find somebody to sell me two more at the end of GenCon, and they were all sold out.
Right. So let's talk about setting the game up and how we get started, right? Well, first you got to choose your mission, and more about the missions later, but basically you're going to choose a mission. And then you're going to have to build your squadron.
We count 30 rebel ships, Lord Vader, but they're so small they're evading our turbo lasers.
We'll have to destroy them ship to ship. Get the crews to their fighters.
So if you want to get your crews to your fighters, here's what you got to do. Right, Craig? See how we're doing this little audio there?
Oh, it's very nice. Yes, it's like cues.
There we go. So all the missions do have pre-built squads for them. Now, they're all built on the idea that you only have the core box set. So it's one X-Wing versus two TIE fighters. However, all of them allow you to change that to whatever you want based on the ships you own. And they do recommend in the game that you play 100 points per side, right? So you have 100 points of the Rebels versus 100 points of Imperials. Now, when you build these squadrons, it's kind of neat because it's not just the points for the ship, right? So you're going to pick your pilot, which is dictating the ship type. So you look through the pilots you own, and what's great is the core game comes with more than just 2 or 3 different pilots. It comes with a nice little selection of them for both sides. And based on the pilot you choose, that's going to include the points of the ship for that pilot. So it might be like 22 points for a regular TIE fighter, but 23 points if he's got a little better piloting skill, right? Something like that.
Yep.
What's also nice is you can then buy upgrades for your ships, like those concussion missiles I talked about, or maybe add a droid to an X-Wing that lets you do different things, like add R2 and stuff, or add proton missiles, torpedoes, but those things all, they're restricted by little icons on the ship's cards, so you can't put a proton torpedo into a TIE fighter, for example, nor can you put R2 into a TIE fighter. But also they're going to add points to your ships. So you're going to be able to exactly tweak out. Maybe you want less ships, but they're all tweaked out with the best stuff. Or maybe you want a lot of little weedy ships and try them out, right?
Right.
That's really nice.
There's a lot of movement there too. We played one game where Russ had, what did you have? 2 X-Wings and a Y-Wing?
Yes.
And you were going against 2 TIE Advanced and 4 TIE Fighters.
Yes. Yep. So
but those TIE Fighters are weedy, man. They really do just blow up.
You can drop them at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Now, in most, which kind of cool, most missions, the TIEs keep coming back as they die.
That's true, too.
They just keep coming back with a regular Academy pilot.
Those Imperial fighters, they're just all
right.
over the place.
So it's just pretty cool. So another nice little twist to the game is whichever side has less points. So let's say you're playing a 100-point game and your squad works out to 98 points and your opponent's works out to exactly 100. Well, the guy with less points gets the initiative. So the pilot's skill generally determines initiative order, but when pilot skill is the same, who's ever got the lower points gets a slight initiative advantage, which is kind of a neat trick. So after you pick your squadrons, and of course after a while you're going to have your favorite combinations you're going to use, so that won't take very long. Then you're going to deploy, and the missions say, deploy. It's great. You don't need a ruler because it says, deploy in range band 1 of the range indicator for this side. You just grab the range ruler and figure it all out. So you deploy your fighters on each side of the table, and you're ready to start, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So how does it work? Well, up first is the planning phase, right? Now, this part will be recognizable to anybody who's played sort of the hidden maneuver air combat games like Crimson Skies or Wings of Glory, right? Wings of War.
Or Wings of War,
Wings of War, right.
No, there are 2, isn't it?
Wings of Glory is the new version of Wings of War.
World War One, and Wings of War is World War II.
Right.
Totally valid, Russ. What you said. Good job.
So now in those games, though, you work with a hand of cards, right? Now, what's interesting about this is Fantasy Flight has brought their very cool little dial system
they love
into this. So you have these small dials, and each dial, as you rotate it around, it's got a small window in it. You're going to rotate and pick a maneuver you're going to do for each of your ships. Now, each of these dial combinations is particular to a particular ship. So there's a TIE Fighter dial, there's an X-Wing dial, there's a Y-Wing dial, there's a TIE Advanced dial. I'm sure there'll eventually be a Millennium Falcon dial, whatever. So you dial in the maneuver you want to do. Now, these maneuvers have a little arrow on them showing whether they're like a hard right or a soft right or a straight ahead. And there's a number below them indicating a speed. So are you going straight ahead 3 or straight ahead 5? And all these things correspond to icons on the actual templates that come in the box. So the box comes with this huge number of templates. And they're very long. They're like 3 or 4. Some of them are like 2 or 3 inches long, and it's a big curve to the right. One's a slow curve to the right, and you flip it over for curve to the left. They've got straight a couple inches. They got straight several inches, and so you're basically going to know. Okay, if I play 4 straight, that's going to use that 4 template. I'm going to start to learn that that's about 6 inches straight ahead or whatever it is. So you're going to pick your dial. Now on your dial also, in addition to a number that indicates speed and an arrow that indicates direction, there's also a color on some of the arrows. Right? Yeah. Some of them are white, some of them are green, and some of them are red. If it is white, no big deal. If it's green, that's nice. If it's red, it means it's a stressful maneuver, and you're going to gain a stress token. And it's just a little triangle, little exclamation point you put next to your ship. When your ship is under stress, so like, for example, what we would call in World War II pulling an Emmelman, would be going inverted, coming back at your opponent. That is a very stressful maneuver, so you got to put the stress token on there. While you're stressed out, you can't do another red maneuver, nor can you do an action, more about that later, until you do a green maneuver. So this is a really cool little mechanic that says you can't just pull Emmelmans all day. You got to kind of take a break, let your blood get back to where it's supposed to be, and let your ship sort of level out. You just pull a high G turn before you try something like that again, right? I love this mechanic, and it was funny, with playing the base rules, we didn't use that mechanic, and I was like pulling Emmelmans over the time, and then we tried the full rules, I'm like, oh, this is a little trickier now, I can't just keep flipping back and forth on you, I got to take a moment to gain my composure. What'd you think of that mechanic, Craig? Did you like that?
I love that mechanic because once again, and we'll probably keep, just by the very nature of what's going on here, referring back to the starter rules. The starter rules don't include stress. Mm-hmm. So I love the dial because it's much faster to just spin it really quickly as opposed to flip through like 12 or 13 cards. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that instead of just using a card to maneuver, so you're not going very far forward, or a whole series of hexes, so you have to worry about putting down all those hexes, you're only taking up one template, but that template is of varied length, and so it really reflects better, I think, the changes in speed and maneuverability between ships.
Right.
And I love the stress element because when we first played without using the stress element, it really quickly devolved down to Russ and I both doing Immelmans at each other.
Right.
So we'd like, oh, then we'd do an Immelman and come right back at each other, because we didn't know, or actually that because the starter set rules don't mention that you get a stress token and then you can't do another one of those maneuvers until you get rid of it, which you have to do. You basically have to really slow down for a turn and do something gentle before you can get rid of that red token.
So what's neat too is, because these dials are different for each ship, what your range of gentle maneuvers is more restricted in the less maneuverable craft.
Correct.
Which is neat. So once you pick your maneuver on your dial, you're going to put it face down next to each of your ships. So you're going to lock in really easily. It's not the dials are nice and small, so it's not like having giant cards on the table taking up all the space where you're locking in your moves. They're nice and small little dials. You put them right next to the base. They're very unassuming and not cluttering up the cool miniature look.
Yeah.
So once both sides have locked in all their moves, so Craig's locked in all of his Imperial moves. I've locked in all my Rebellion moves. Now we're going to go ahead and do the activation phase. That's the next phase. It's basically where we move our ships. Now, every pilot card has a pilot skill number on it. And in the activation phase, when we move our ships, we're going to go in ascending pilot skill order. Now, the higher your pilot skill is, the better. So by moving in ascending pilot order, basically the worst pilots move first. Now, when we first did this, we're like, why does this matter? Because it's all locked in maneuvers. But actually it does. Some of the rules about who moves first and who bumps into whom are important, and you're actually to your advantage to move second. So there's some niceties of having a higher pilot skill here. But you don't need to worry about all the fanciness. All you got to worry about is who's got the lowest piloting skill. So any ones out there, any pilots with a 1, yes, I've got one, or you move first. And again, if it's a tie, the player who has initiative, which is the same all game, goes to go first, which is usually the guy with a lower score, the lower point value fleet. All right, so activating, what do? You pick a ship that's got the lower piloting skill, you flip over its little maneuver thing, you see that it's doing a soft turn to the right at a 3, you grab the template that matches the icon and the number, and you're going to put it in front of the ship. Now, what I like about this is there are little nubs
little pair of nubs in the front and the back of each flight stand. And it's exactly the width of each of these templates. So the templates actually lock in. So there's no like lining up to make sure the exact center of the template is lined up to this little pip exactly in the middle. You just like lock them in, you hold down the template, pick up your fighter, put it, and on the back it also locks in, and you're done. Really easy, really fast, and you know you're exactly right. I really love the little, and I don't think it was in the beta version, but in the final version they're awesome. I really like those.
Yeah.
Then, of course, after you move each ship, you're going to add or remove stress tokens. So if you did a red maneuver, add a stress token. If you did a green maneuver, remove the stress token. Then you get to perform an action. Now, don't confuse actions with attacking. Not the same thing. There's a whole other combat phase coming up where you actually shoot the lasers. Okay? The action step is sort of like what your pilot's getting ready for, right? And there are really 4 core actions in the base game. They may add more of these eventually, but there's 4 core ones. And they're represented by icons on your pilot's card. They're also represented by icons on your fighter's base. So not every fighter can do all these different actions, okay? But you can do whatever ones are on there. The first action choice is evade, okay? And basically if you evade, it's going to give you a bonus miss to your dice. A little more about that later.
Right.
You can also do what's called a focus. If you do evade or a focus, by the way, you're going to put a token next to your fighter indicating you've done either of these things. So evade's got one little token type, and focus has got another token type. Now focus is cool because it makes you better either attacking or defending. Not as good as some other choices, but pretty good. So it kind of gives you like, you're in the zone, you're ready to go. I won't say using the force because everybody can do this, but you're kind of like in the zone for either eventuality. Okay?
Right.
Then there's another maneuver called the barrel roll, which is mostly something TIE fighters do. The barrel roll, you don't put a token down. You just say, for my action, I'm going to do a barrel roll. And you take the straight ahead 1 token, and you put it on the side of your ship. And your ship can then shift basically left or right, about an inch and a half or so, right? And that's sort of like imagining the TIE fighter rolling left or rolling right. It makes
and you can get a little more distance out of it too, because you are allowed to barrel roll and move forward as you're doing it.
And it's a great little nice thing. It's not available in most flight games, and I like it because it gives you that little more maneuverability feeling that TIE fighters have, right? It gives you that little more feeling that TIE fighters, although fragile, are really fast and agile.
Yeah.
And the last thing you can do in the basic set is the acquire target lock. And this is kind of a cool one. So basically, you take that long measuring stick, and any ship that's within range of you, even at maximum range, you can acquire a target lock. And there's tokens that are in pairs. So there's a pair of 1s, a pair of 2s, a pair of 3s, and there's a color. There's different colors. There's green.
They're
for
actually A's and B's and C's, but
right.
that's okay.
You're right. They're letters. And there's a green one and a red one. Green one being the guy generating the lock, and the red one being locked onto. So you could say, oh, there's like 3 TIE fighters near me. I'm going to lock onto TIE Fighter 3. So you put the green token on your base, the red token on the TIE fighter you're locking onto, and now you've established that I've got tone on that guy, right? I've got a lock on him.
Yeah.
And more about how that helps
these
you
are not all available to everybody.
Nope.
Your little the little base insert that goes over your base when you fly will actually tell you, and your card will tell you also, which of these you have access to. So, for instance, like most people will have access to focus, and TIE fighters have evade, and mostly it's rebel ships that have acquire target lock. Right. So there is a lot of difference within the ships. Also, it's not. I mean, within the fighters, also, it's not like it's not vanilla. You're just shooting at each other. Right. They're very different. They play differently, and that is very well generated within the game.
Right. Now, one more thing about moving here. As you're moving your ship, you're free to move over other ships. So if you're moving your ship on your little template and you pass over somebody else, that's not a problem. But if the end of your maneuver would have your base overlap with another ship, whether it's your own ship or an enemy ship, you, instead of overlapping them, you move your ship back along its template until it would just bump into the ship instead of actually being on top of it.
Yep.
Okay. Now this is neat because if you move second, generally this means, because you're moving backing up until you hit him, the guy's going to be right in front of your guns now. So moving second means at least the guy's right in front of you. Now there's a detriment to this though, because you came so close to crashing into someone. You don't take damage or anything, but you lose your action. So if you maneuver in such a way that you had to take advantage of this whole shift back to get to hit him, you lose the ability to do an action. So you can't evade, you can't focus, you can't barrel roll or any of those other action traits. You can't target lock. You're too busy going, oh God, I almost hit that guy, right? So that's what happens there. And that's also a nice mechanic they do with the asteroids as well. There's a chance to get damage too. So it's a neat little mechanic. Like if you get too close to stuff, you're too busy dodging to be able to do these extra things like focusing and stuff, right? So that is maneuvering. Now it's time for combat.
Enemy fighters coming your way.
My scope's negative. I don't see anything.
Pick up your visuals, counting. Here they come. Watch it, you've got one on your tail.
Oh, we lost one.
Pick one up, watch it. I can't see it.
All right. So
I can't see him.
Tight, I can't take him.
I'll be right there.
Here he comes.
Barrel roll, barrel roll.
Quick, out of there. Hope he's got focus. Oh, yeah. All right. Now, time for combat. So, when it's your turn to shoot, now what's interesting is after everybody's maneuvered, right? Now we're going to do combat. We're going to fire in combat, though, in reverse piloting skill order. Okay?
Right.
So the better your pilot is, you shoot first. And combat's not simultaneous, so if I shoot first and blow you up, oh, so bad, you didn't get to go. Okay, so again, you're going to go out there and go, okay, anybody got a piloting skill of 9 or 8 or whatever the highest one is, and start going down from there. And again, if it's ties, goes to the guy who's got initiative, which again is usually the guy with the lower points.
Yeah.
All right, so we're getting ready to shoot. What do? No problem. You declare a target. Now, there are firing arcs. On these bases here, there's a little V shape, coming out from the pole, going to the corners of the base, and that's your front arc. Okay? I don't think it's different for each ship type. I think it's the same, but it could be different because the bases are different for every ship.
I think it's the same, but it could be different if they wanted it to be.
Yeah, they could be. There are things like turrets, too, like the Y-Wings have an ion turret, so it's all built in there. But basically, you've got a front firing arc. All right? So if the guy's in your front arc and he's within range, which is what the range sticks for, you can say, I'm going to shoot that TIE fighter over there. TIE fighter number 3, I'm going to take a shot at. Now you're going to roll, you're going to figure out your attack dice, okay? Now the game comes with special dice. They're D10s, I think, right, Craig?
Yeah.
But they have icons on them, so no numbers. Some sides are blank, some sides, on the attack dice, the red ones, some sides are blank, some sides have little eyes on them, and some sides have a solid explosion, and some sides have an explosion with a hole in it, okay? That's the attack dice. So you're going to roll some number of attack dice. Now, on your ship card and also on your fighter base is a red number. That's your attack dice, right? So X-Wings generally throw 3 attack dice, I think. TIE fighters generally throw 2 attack dice, okay? So you're going to figure out your attack dice. You're going to get 3 probably with your X-Wing. I'm going to throw my Craig's TIE fighter. So I'm going to get ready to roll the dice, so I roll them. After I roll the dice, now I can choose to modify the attack. And there's basically 2 big ways you can modify the attack. One of them is to use one of those focus tokens. So if I happen to put the focus token down, which is an I, and I decide to use it, any dice rolls that came up with an I can use the focus token to turn them into a hit. So remember I said there's 3 different things. There's the small explosion that's solid is a regular hit. The explosion with a hole in it is a critical hit. And then any kind of an I or a blank side is going to be a miss unless I've done focusing, and I can spend a focus token to turn all the I's I rolled into hits. So if I rolled a star, 1 explosion, and an I, and I spend my token, now I've got 2 hits instead of 1. So focusing helps there. All right. The other bonus I might get is from target lock. What target lock does is if I establish a target lock on you, I can remove my target lock tokens and say I'm going to use target lock, and it allows me to re-roll any number of attack dice. So target lock is slightly better than focus because focus only makes the eyes do something, whereas target lock can re-roll all the dice, right? So focus is pretty good, but target lock's better. And you do discard target lock once you use it, okay? So after I've rolled my attacks, I've got some number of explosions. So let's say I got 3. Craig's like, oh, no, I'm going to get hit. Well, fortunately, TIE fighters are maneuvers. So Craig now is going to figure out his defense dice, okay? Now, the defense dice are based on their green dice, and they also have 3 things on them. They have blank sides, they have eyes on them, and they have a little, looks like a S-curve logo from a slippery when wet road sign, right? What Craig is hoping he's going to roll, he's going to hope he rolls a lot of those little S-curves, because every S-curve you roll cancels out 1 hit. Okay,
yeah.
So Craig rolls his 3 green dice and gets something. Now, if he got some S-curves with some eyes, the eyes are handy because if Craig had focus, he can discard his focus token to turn all the eyes into dodges. Now, this is interesting because basically your focus token can turn all your attacks into hits, or your attack eyes into hits, or turn all your defense eyes into dodges. But you discard the token as soon as you use it. So if the enemy attacks you first and you need to use focus to dodge, you'll not have your focus in the attack phase. Or if you use your focus to attack, you don't have it in your dodge phase. So kind of cool. Focus is either defensive or offensive. Now, just as attack focus is not quite as effective as target lock, defense focus is not quite as offensive as, what is it called, evade. Because evade gives you an automatic little S-curve icon even if you don't get any. So evade is basically +1 dodge, which is nice.
Right. But that focus can be used in either phase.
Yes. So focus is kind of like jack of all trades, but if you know you're going to get shot at, or if you know you're going to really want your big attack to hit, you might want to go for target lock or evade, right? Depending. So Craig then modifies his defense pool by either using his evade token or by using... Now, he may not want to. Maybe he's like, I'll take the 1 hit from this guy because another guy's about to shoot me, because once you use your evade token for the bonus, it's gone.
And also, he might use his focus token to add to turn an eye into some evades, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to compare results. So I look at all my explosions. Craig looks at all his swerves, and he has to cancel out hits with swerves, but he has to start with non-critical hits first. So if I got 2 regular hits and a crit, and Craig's got 2 swerves, he can cancel out the 2 regular hits, but the critical gets through. So criticals are removed from combat last. So once you get a critical, that's the best kind of hit. If I get more hits than Craig gets swerves, then I've done some damage.
Woohoo!
Eject!
You should have ejected, Porkins. You should have ejected. All right. So what happens with damage? Well, it's kind of cool. There's a deck of cards, Craig. How do these work?
They actually work very well and elegantly because usually when you take damage, you're just going to take one of those, and the cards have a big explosion on the back, and you just take one, and it results in it symbolizes one lost hull point on that ship.
Right. So a regular hit, it's just basically a big token. You put it on next to your ship card to show that I've got 1 damage on me or 2.
Exactly. However, the critical hit result on the die, which is that explosion, but it has a circle in the middle of it, results not only do you get that point of damage taken off that the card represents, but you flip the card over, and on the back is some text that describes exactly what happened to your ship and the effects that's going to have for the rest of the game.
Right.
Which can be devastating.
Yeah. Can you remember some examples?
I can give you some examples. One is it damages your ability to turn. My favorite is you take a hit to the canopy and your pilot skill is 0 for the rest of the game. There's all kinds of really cool stuff that you could lose your astromech if you have one.
Right.
Of course.
Knocks your head out. Yeah, of course. R2's
So very cool.
Now, what's interesting about this is, just keep in mind, for example, TIE fighters have a total of 2 hull points. So as soon as you have enough damage cards to be equal to or greater than your hull points, your ship is destroyed. So TIE fighters have 2 hull points. I think it's 2. So they're pretty much easy to take out. I mean, 2 hits, they're done. But what's neat about the game is, although it's easy to take them out, they throw 3 green dice on defense. And X-Wings only throw 2 green dice in defense. But X-Wings throw more attack dice. But X-Wings also have more hull points. So X-Wings are tougher to kill, but they... TIE fighters are easy to kill, but if the TIE guy's doing a lot of evading and throwing lots of dice, he could get lucky and never get hit or get hit very rarely, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Now, there's one more thing we need to talk about.
Switch all power to front deflector screen. Switch all power to front deflector screen.
Ah, yes.
Somebody's been busy today.
The good old-fashioned front deflector screens. Thanks for reminding me, Gold Leader. So, front deflector screens, obviously there are shields in the Star Wars universe, and it would be inappropriate for this game not to have them. Now, sadly, as an X-Wing and TIE Fighter fan, I was really hoping to have to worry about front deflector screens and rear deflector screens and transferring power back and forth to the various deflector screens. But clearly, most folks like Craig would find that way too fiddly, so they didn't bother with all that. Instead,
absolutely,
all they do is some ships have a shield stat on them. For example, X-Wings have 2 shields. That means you take 2 little blue shield tokens and you put them on your ship card at the start of the battle. Every time your ship gets hit, if it has shields, instead of taking a damage card, you remove 1 shield token, right? Yep. So if the X-Wing tries to evade, but 1 TIE Fighter blast gets through, I'm hitting the shield, and he removes a shield token. And you don't take any damage cards until all your shield tokens are blown off. Pretty simple. Now, basically, you don't get shields back, but there are pieces of equipment like astromech droids you can add to your ship that will regenerate your shields. So it's a simple mechanic, but I like it. And what was great was when we tried one of our games at GenCon with a Y-Wing. Suddenly, Craig shot at a Y-Wing, and it's like, okay, well, I lose one of my 3 shields. 3 shields! And I got 5 hull points. What? So they're basically giant buckets that can't turn worth a darn, but they are hard to kill, those Y-Wings.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. You definitely get the feel for the different ships. Some are nimble, but if you can tap them, they die. Other ones are really tough. You got to break through the shields and then kill them. It's got it all in there. Very simple mechanics. Love it, love it, love it, I do. All right.
I do.
And in the end phase, of course, you simply remove all tokens. And this is important to remember because basically, with the exception of target lock, which if you did not expend it, does carry over from turn to turn, everything else does not. So if you use focus, if you put a focus token down or a swerve token down, you did not use it, it goes away at the end of the turn. So it's use it or lose it, except for target lock. Target lock does stay. Now, in addition to target lock being good for re-rolling rolls, there are certain pieces of equipment we should mention, like proton torpedoes, which cannot be fired unless you have target lock.
So there is that nice little combination where you got to get the target lock, get toned, then fire the torpedo, and they do awesome damage. And basically, if you have equipment that is a weapon, you use it instead of the main weapons of your ship when you attack, and it just got different stats on it, basically different dice you roll, things like that, and special rules right on there. That's pretty much the whole game, and you keep rinsing and repeating that until you achieve your mission. So, let's see. What are some of the missions, Craig? Let's talk about it because I think. There's only 3 missions in the core rulebook, but I think they're really, really nice, especially for a game like this.
Yes.
So, what are some of the missions, Craig?
Well, the first one is political escort, which is awesome. Basically, the rebels are escorting some political personage. I believe it says it's a senator, but I don't think so. That doesn't make any sense to me at this point. Oh, senator.
Could be.
Rebel senator's fleet was ambushed by the Empire, nearly wiped out. The senator himself escaped in a shuttle, but a stray blast knocked out his ship's hyperdrive and sensors. Utterly reliant on his escort, the rebel senator can do little more than go straight forward and hope he reaches the outskirts of a friendly system soon. Unfortunately, the Imperial fleet has already dispatched fighters to round up the survivors. Now the rebel escort must protect the senator until he can reach safety, but the Imperials won't make it easy for them. So it's awesome because basically what's happening is you've got the X-Wing or X-Wings, if you're playing this as a regular standard game, who are defending the shuttle, which is very slow, although very beefy with 6 hull.
Yeah, there's a nice little token to represent this shuttle, too, which is neat. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's a little token, although I'm digging through my old models to look for... I mean, this exact spaceship isn't in the old game, but a couple that look very like it are. So
cool.
I'm trying hard not to buy the one that looks closest to it on eBay because that's pretty much the only one I don't have. But there you go. And so your TIE fighters are going to be trying to take out the shuttle. So again, this is really cool. This is where you go from board game to miniatures game because you totally have the option to go after the rebel defenders if you want, but your mission is to take out that shuttle.
Right. My next mission, which I think is nice, is Asteroid Run. And the game comes with a lot of nice-looking asteroid tokens. And it's a great one. Basically, the scenario here is the rebels have a slightly damaged ship, probably hit an asteroid in the middle of the field. And you set up your asteroid tokens around there. And the Imperials have squadrons coming from opposite sides of the table. It's a great way to play at 100 points. And they got to try to get... the rebels have got to defend the ship long enough for it to get its drives back online and fly it off the table. Very cool mission, a lot of fun. The asteroid rules are fantastic. Basically, if you move over an asteroid, it's sort of like bumping into a ship. You can't take an action that turn, but also you got to roll a red die, and if you get a hit, you take damage. So you basically got to watch out for those asteroids.
Color us embarrassed. The dice are 8-sided.
8-sided, sorry, thank you. 8-sided dice.
That's awful.
Yeah, so you got to watch out for those asteroids, even though they don't concern some people.
Yep. Which I thought was awesome. I loved the asteroid rules. Even though I kept bouncing TIE fighters off them all night long.
Shooting through an asteroid. Oh, we forgot to mention this. Also, I totally spaced this. So we've got to mention effects of range in combat.
Yeah.
So,
which is elegant and quick.
Really simple. And also,
but it really does affect the game.
And they use the same mechanic for the asteroids. So there are 3 range bands on the range meter. There's a section that's labeled 1 that goes up to a certain point. The middle of the range ruler is a 2, and the long range is a 3. At range band 2, no effect. The dice work exactly as described. In range band 1, the attacker gets a bonus attack die. Okay, and at range band 3, the defender gets a bonus defense dice. Sort of interesting. So you never roll less than your default attack dice. It's just that at close range you get a bonus die, and at long range the defender rolls more, which is sort of neat. Same is true with an asteroid. If you're firing through an asteroid, the defender gets a bonus defense die. That's how that works. So it's really interesting. It's really very simple mechanics. I really like them a lot. So and the last one is a Dark Whispering mission, which this one is there are rebel transponders in an area, and the Imperials try to come in and take out the again, little transmitter tokens that are really cool looking as well. So great, nice mission variety, nice little flavor mix up. And because there's all specific objectives, they can have rules like as you kill the Imperials, more TIE fighters do come back onto the board, but they're always the most basic, rookiest TIE fighter. So you might be able to take out one of the cool TIE fighter pilots and just replace him with a regular dude. But the Rebels definitely have that feeling of, we got to get this done, because they just keep coming.
Yep.
Which is nice. So all that's the basic game, but then, of course, there are expansions featuring...
Red 6, can you see Red 5? There's a heavy fire zone on this side. Red 5, where are you?
I can't shake it!
Uh-oh. I'm on it, Luke. Hold on.
Biggs, where are you?
Oh, no.
Thanks, Wedge.
Oh, thank goodness. Wedge saved the day. So,
yay, Wedge.
One of the nasty things, or cool things, depending how you look at it, that Fantasy Flight did, was that there are indeed expansion sets already out for this game. So there's an expansion X-Wing and expansion TIE Fighters. Now, you definitely want to get the expansion X-Wing because it comes with different pilots you don't get in the base game. For example, Wedge Antilles, who's just cool.
And you want to have more than one X-Wing. I mean, come on.
Right. Well, but you're kind of tempted to buy the base box twice, but you're like, oh, but I need to get the special X-Wing just to have Wedge.
That's true.
So you need that. Also, you get different droids in there, other kind of things. Same is true if you want Darth Vader, you got to buy the TIE Advance because Darth's in there, along with some other different fighter pilots as well. The TIE Fighter pack comes with some TIE Fighter pilots you may or may not know, depending on how much of a Star Wars nut you are, including one named Backstabber, who was Darth Vader's co-pilot, or wingman, I should say, at the Battle of Yavin.
And he's got awesome special rules.
The Y-Wing's a great ship. It's really the first... Well, the TIE Advance is neat because it gives the Imperials a ship that's kind of like an X-Wing. It's got shields. It's got better guns. But
doesn't have better guns. It has access to better weapons.
It has access to the concussion missiles. Right.
Out of the factory, it does not have better guns.
That's true. You're right. And then the Y-Wing's really cool because it's a totally different ship. It's big, it's slow, but it's hard to kill, and it can get access to the upgraded ion turret, which can fire 360, which is cool. And the ion turret's neat because it doesn't really damage you, but it like knocks your systems out and you kind of fly straight for a bit, which is great in an asteroid field.
Straight and very slow.
Now also
it makes you take a one straight ahead template, which is like inching forward at like an inch and a half.
Which is, if you play any of these space combat games where maneuvers are so important, losing a turn where you really need to maneuver is huge. You can take you right out of the battle, or at least really take you out of the thing for a while. So it's a really nice trick for the Y-Wings. Now, those are all the ones you could buy on launch, which will come into your stores locally the same day the main box set does. But also, we were lucky enough to see them announce and actually show off the new models for some of the new stuff coming out, including the Millennium Falcon, which looks awesome. Everything's exactly to scale in this game, and the Falcon is huge. There are pictures on our Facebook page of someone's hand holding it, so you can see just how big it is, as well as pictures of it next to the other new ships, so you can see the size. Also announced, I'm hoping for like Chewbacca cards in there, and Lando cards, and Han Solo piloting cards. You have a choice, depending on where you are in the series. Also, you can have, of course, Slave One, which is just fantastic. Not sure what other pilots we're going to have in there, but having Boba Fett in there would be great. The TIE Interceptor, which is awesome. A great looking ship. Can't wait for that. And that's going to have better guns because the TIE Interceptor's got quad guns, so it's going to be cool. And, of course, the A-Wing was also shown off, which looks great as well. A little tiny thing. Looks awesome. So that is pretty much all of the game. Everything that's out now and will be coming out, I think, by the end of the year, their goal is, right, Craig, for the other stuff?
I believe so, yes. Yep.
So pretty exciting stuff. So what are our final thoughts? Craig, you want to go first?
I will go first, sure. Based on the demos from last year, I was pretty much sure this game was going to be a hit for me, and I have never regretted a penny I've ever spent on any Star Wars stuff ever. If you only include the first 3 movies, I have regretted some other purchases I have made that didn't quite stand the test of time. But anything from episodes 4, 5, and 6, I have never once regretted anything I bought from them. Including Star Wars Miniatures Starship game, which the game itself was crap, but and the models were all wobbly and rubber and bent, and you could take a dryer to them all day long and they'd still stay bent. But man, I just love I still to this day have all those models. So I knew it would be okay, but when we played our first game, Russ and I actually ducked out of the con one day just to play this game in the hotel.
We did.
Like, hey, we should be rushing back, but on the other hand, we could play X-Wing.
Right, we did.
And it was awesome. It captures the essence of the fighter combat in those movies perfectly. The rules are tight, they're nice, they're focused, they're very, very, very simple to grasp, and yet at the same time, there's so many nuances. I don't know how long it's going to take me to realize whether I need a sharp or gradual turn to get around an asteroid without slamming my little Imperial face right into it.
Right.
Which is what I kept doing over and over and over again. I expected the models to be like your average pre-paints, really. Right. I did not expect models to come out of these little blisters and look exactly like the press pictures that you've already seen. So if you go online and look at press pictures, you are seeing the actual product. You're not seeing something that's been touched up by some Golden Demon winner.
Right.
The models were just awesome, and they're made out of a hard plastic. They're not rubber, so they keep their shape. They're really, really cool.
I haven't seen any X-Wings with bent guns. Have you? Could you figure those would be bent?
No, I don't think
they all look perfect.
Yep. I love the little action phase. I mean, the things that make this different from the original games. I love the templates. I love the action phase and the fact that the pilots are going to change your abilities. And I love the fact that each fighter, feels different, plays exactly how you would anticipate it to play. I think game-wise alone, this is a huge win. When you add Star Wars to it, it is just incredible. So I'm going to say, let's see, right out of the box, I'm going to give it a 3+ for your average gamer. If you like Star Wars, it gets an additional +2.
Wow, so it's 2+ with Star Wars. 1+ with Star Wars. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Well, no. If 3+, 2+, yes.
Yes, 1+ for Star Wars.
You can't really go. Okay.
No,
So
we'll
never mind. Okay. So I'll give it a +1 if you're a Star Wars fan. I will also give it a +1 if you're an aerial combat fan, which means if you're a Star Wars aerial combat fan, it's a 2+ with a reroll.
Right. There you go.
Yep.
All
and
right.
I will stand by that. You point out to me a guy who loves Star Wars and loves aerial fighter combat games who doesn't love this game, and I'm going to say he lied about one or both of those criteria.
I don't think I can disagree with that statement.
No.
All right, well, everything you said. Well, also, for some reason, this game plays faster than Wings of War.
It totally does.
I don't know where the magic is. I don't know if it's in the dials versus the hand of cards. It might be it, because you can
I think it's the length of the templates, too. You can go farther.
Yeah, and maneuvering. The Wings of War use the cards for maneuvering. I think that's fiddly too. I think the templates locking into those bases makes it really fast and not debatable. And the dials really make it quick also. I love that part. You're not like shuffling through decks of cards for each ship for the different maneuvers and stuff. It's just one thing, which is really nice. As Craig said, I love the pilot and the add-ons. It really gives you that Star Wars, it's R2 in the X-Wing with Luke. It's just awesome. Oh, R2 got hit. That's all in there.
It's just too cool.
Proton. And there's stuff in there too that's right out of the X-Wing games, like concussion missiles. I don't think anybody ever talked about concussion missiles in the movie, but those are from X-Wing, the video game. They're in there for the TIE Advanced. They're gonna. I'm fingers crossed for the TIE Bomber. That's got to come out someday. Fingers also crossed for the TIE Defender from the video games. That's be a great looking model. They look so good. The models. Craig said, I don't think we can overstate this. The models are so impressive. I can't wait for most of you guys to get into a store and just look at them in the blister. They just sell themselves. They look like the kind of thing you would, buy just to have, like a Star Wars ornament on your tree, but they're for games. And I think they've really hit something here, because as Nicole's got a lot of Twitter followers who are actually either work at LucasArts or they're into Star Wars hardcore, or they know all that stuff, like Bonnie Burton and stuff. And when she was tweeting these pictures, they were freaking out. They don't even gamers. They don't even care. They just want to own these things. They look so good. I think you're really going to make a lot of sales on this just for those kind of people, in addition to the fact that it's a fantastic game. Love the fact that there's great missions in there. I mean, they totally could have skipped on the missions. They didn't. The missions are really well thought out and as good as any missions you'd find in most miniature war games. I mean, the whole the one with the transmissions, Craig, has actually got the scanning rule in it that we've used in Dystopian Wars. You fly up next to them, and the Imperial's got to use an action to scan them to see if they can get the data for the Rebels. It's just really cool. Like all that kind of stuff's in there. It's got the action phase is really a nice innovative mechanic. I really like that little bit of, do I use focus? Do I barrel roll? It really adds that just extra level of something. And the fact that when you bump into things, you lose that action is just enough to not screw you over, but it's just enough to go, I really need to turn. The stress is the same way. I really like how the stress works. It's really, really good mechanics here. The models could still suck, and it's a great game. The fact that both these things come together in such a way, and as a huge fan of the old X-Wing and TIE Fighter games, this is the dream board game.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Craig. I think it's really a 3+ for anybody on the planet as a gamer, and it's pretty much a 2+ for anybody who either has a love of Star Wars or a love of space combat games, or even any kind of air combat game. Period. It was great. Well, I had to stand in line at GenCon for an hour and a half to get this because Fantasy Flight's line went crazy long.
Right.
And while I'm in line, everybody around me, now there were two things they were trying to buy. One was Netrunner. That was one of the hottest selling things at the con. But all of them near me also had Star Wars X-Wing. Yeah. And it's funny because they're near me, and as they're walking through the line, we're getting past these tables that are actually demoing it. And the guy's like,
oh, there's no squares in the board? And I was explaining to them how it works. They're not even miniature gamers. They don't even know how the game works. They're just buying it because the models look so awesome. And I think that's really what it's all about. It's really like the rules could suck, but these models are so cool. But the fact is the rules don't suck, and it's just a great game. So
absolutely,
there you have it. Star Wars X-Wing.
How can you go wrong?
If you see it, just buy it.
Have you not? What?
Yahoo! Look out!
Come on!
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
There you have it. X-Wing.
Oh,
in a nutshell.
man.
Now we just got to go build a Death Star the size of our city to be in scale.
There you go. Absolutely.
You're listening to the D6 generation. Born to game.
And so no GenCon episode, of course, would be complete without a little post-con report about Geek Nation tours.
Oh, what a feast that was. The first night dinner. Yum, yum, yum.
First night dinner, the tailgating special was awesome.
Yeah.
The food was delicious. It was like gourmet tailgating.
With cupcakes brought in from a local cupcakery. Is that a right
And
term?
the cupcakes
They were
were
good.
so good.
See, that's the thing.
And,
Geek Nation Tours, they don't do anything by half. So they had got one of the rooms at the convention center there, or at the hotel there, the JW Marriott, one of the best hotels in the area.
Small ballroom.
Yeah, and they had it catered by the hotel staff there. It was great food, and podium was all set up, and we just came. There was a cash bar there. We could mingle and talk to everyone and meet a bunch of the listeners who also happened to be on the Geek Nation tour. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And thanks to you guys who bought us a drink. That was awesome.
That was very nice. And also, unbeknownst to us, Terrace also had some other industry folks there handing out some free loot and saying hi, like Eric Johns from Weird Miniatures was there.
Eric Johns brought a suitcase full of the new plastics.
You could see the very
first ever seeing
right
in
there.
public.
Right, it was awesome. And Steve Bonacourt was there.
Steve Bonacourt brought a bunch
Jeff
of stuff.
Engelstein was
also,
there. It
and-
was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. They had one of the 7 top people of GenCon was there. A woman was there to like give everybody a little
She gave some
advice.
great advice. It was fantastic. And that's just a taste. And all the tours are like that. That's just a taste of the kind of experience you can have on a Geek Nation tour. What you want to do to find out the upcoming tours that might interest you the most, go on over to geeknationtours.com and click on the upcoming tours button. It's just that simple.
Yep.
And find whatever you like, whether it's Star Trek or Star Wars or gaming or even Twilight. It's all there someplace. I know, right? Geek
But
Nation
hey,
Tours.
It doesn't take all kinds, but they are here.
They are indeed. And Geek Nation Tours takes care of all of them.
GeekNationTours.com.
This edition of Jever Notice is brought to you by Keith Collins, to everyone at this year's GenCon. I met some great people and I hope to see them again next year. Well, that goes for all of us, Keith. Well said. Well, one more quick thank you to everyone who responded to my request for feedback. We've had more responses by far than any other call-out or contest we've ever had. Thanks to all of you who responded, and especially to those of you who went so far out of their way to say they disagreed with me on a lot, but enjoyed and appreciated the segment anyway. And boy, were there a lot of you. However, I've teased and promised a lot over the last couple of months, so ironically enough, here's one that is very personal and just barely tangentially connected to gaming. It is, however, not a short story and will easily be the longest Did You Ever Notice ever. This one is for all of you who asked for the story specifically or said you enjoyed when I shared personal stories because you felt like you got to know me a little more through them. For you guys, this one's littered with gems. So without further ado, here's the first Tales from the Craig Chronicles. Bloop. Oh, just kidding. Did you ever notice how dangerous stereotypes can be? In college, I started a chapter of the Society for Creative Anachronisms, an international historical recreation organization. My friends and I really enjoyed attending events in both Vermont and New Hampshire, and there are all sorts of stories associated with my time in the SCA, but this is almost always everyone's favorite. The hardest thing to find when putting together a historical costume is the footwear. You can make tunics or trousers or surcoats or kilts, but it takes a very specific skill set to make shoes. I can make them now, actually, quite nicely if I ever needed to, but back when I was in college, this certainly was not the case. So one weekend, when a bunch of my closest friends decided to stay at my parents' house and attend the largest local SCA event, a Christmas celebration, the morning of the event found me dropping 4 strangely dressed people off at the local moccasin shop in hopes of finding something to wear on their feet while the rest of us went to the bank to get cash for the day. Historical buffs can keep their comments to themselves about fringed footgear. When I swung back around to the moccasin shop to pick my friends up, they had not purchased anything, but were very put off by the employees of the store who had followed them all around with disdainful, suspicious facial expressions and looks the entire time they were there. We made some jokes at the employees' expense, of course, commented on the narrow-mindedness of some folks, and started our journey about a half hour away to the event. When we arrived, the parking lot was beyond packed, and the line to enter the venue was extremely long, stretching back and forth in the large lobby and then out the door. We waited for a very long time, looking over the heads of the people in front of us to the main floor of the event, which was packed with merchants, displays, and folks demonstrating a variety of medieval and Renaissance combat styles. Our spirits were very high. Now, at SCA events, when there's an announcement to be made, they don't use a PA system, even if one's available. Usually, rather, they have a herald go around and cry out for the person being searched for. So, when I was through the line, but all my friends were not, I heard the herald crying out my father's name. A guy who would never be caught dead in an event like this, and I got confused and concerned. I told my friends I had to go see what was up, found the herald, and explained that it wasn't my name, but it was my dad's, and did he have a message for me? He silently led me to a police officer in very modern clothing standing by a fire exit, looking annoyed and condescendingly about him. He was a short man in my memory, with a crop of slicked back black hair and a snide tilt to his thick lips, his heavy eyebrows arched suspiciously over beady eyes that squinted out at the world in judgmental contempt. But now I was concerned that perhaps something had happened to my father or there was some other bad news, and so I missed all of these signs and stepped respectfully up to him, a military cadet through and through, and explained, "Jerry Gallant is my father, sir. Is something wrong?" He looked me up and down with his black eyes, my poor attempt at a medieval costume twisting the snide tilt a little higher. "Yeah, follow me," he growled, and then turned without looking to see that I was obeying his peremptory command. He moved out into the snow, his combat boots crunching over the layer of ice and slush, while my moccasin boots gleefully soaked up the moisture without my awareness. As we walked through the parking lot, I continued to ask him what was wrong, and he cast a sidelong look at me before snapping, "You know what's wrong." The accusation in his voice was clear as it was confusing, and I assured him that I had no idea what he was talking about. He just grunted again and continued to walk deeper into the parking lot, leaving me to rush to keep up in my squelching shoes. When we arrived at my car, a particularly beautiful specimen of a 1978 Chevy Nova, complete with bumper rivets and coat hanger exhaust system suspension, he spun around in the slush dramatically and spat, "Is this your vehicle?" I was confused and concerned and blurted yes before I even had time to think. I had no idea what was going on. But the next words out of the officer's mouth shook me to the very core of my goody-two-shoes, rule-abiding soul. "You have the right to remain silent." Seriously? He was reading me my Miranda rights? Just like on TV, I thought, as my stomach dropped out of the bottom of my body, my throat seized up, and the flesh on my skull did its level best to creep up over my forehead. I was in utter and complete shock. "Do you understand these rights as I have read them to you?" the officer continued, seeming to enjoy the expression that must have been plastered across my face, and in an excellent approximation of a poleaxed cow. My brain desperately tried to keep pace with what was going on, but my innate honesty, which has almost always seen me through to success, but almost equally always caused lots of bumps and bruises along the way, required me to say, "Yeah, I think so, but I have no idea what's going on." "Oh, you know what's going on," he sneered as he said it, walking around the car and inspecting it with a look of a man who's found a half of a worm in his apple. "This car was positively identified as the getaway vehicle in a grand theft this morning, and you were the driver." As if my stomach could get even further away from my body, it lurched deeper towards the core of the planet, and I got lightheaded, sure now that I was in some sort of nightmare. This time, even my ingrained politeness and deference to authority could not save me. What?" was the most impressive retort I could muster. This morning, 4 leather jackets were stolen from the local moccasin shop in your hometown. I'm withholding their names so as not to give them any publicity, good or bad, with a value totaling well over $5,000. The clerk saw the thieves get away in this car, and the Milford PD put out an order to apprehend you on sight. Anger battles savagely with fear and confusion behind my wide eyes, but again, all I could say was, what? You heard me. You or your friends stole over $5,000 in fur and leather coats and drove away in this car. He turned to me with more disdain than I had ever seen on another person's face directed at me. Now, I can easily get a search warrant for your car with this, but if you let me look in it right now, it'll go easier for you when we get in front of the judge. Anger started to overbear the fear and confusion just a tiny bit. I'll sign anything you want, I said. There aren't any coats in my car because we didn't steal any. I'm sure in reality I didn't sound that bold, but hey, I'm the one telling the story, right? So the officer sneered some more and produced a paper which I immediately and unthinkingly signed. He then does a quick inspection of my car, breaking a goblet in the process that had been a gift from my great aunt who had recently passed away, causing the anger to crank up another notch and the fear and confusion to back down an equal amount. After obviously finding nothing, the officer turned back to me, shaking his head. I knew we wouldn't find it. You're obviously too smart to leave the coats in the car. Let's go back inside. I want to talk with the people you're with. Who are you? Who are they? Well, this part of the story doesn't really show me in the best light because clearly my brain wasn't entirely engaged as I began to list my friends by their first names as if I was spending the day with A-list superstars. Joe, his brother Robert, Jeff, Joni, and Shannon. Of course, he looked at me like I had sprouted a second equally useless head, and we went inside. As we entered the lobby, I strove to ask a question I was experientially completely incapable of framing without referencing what little I knew about police procedure from TV. Excuse me, officer, but do I get a phone call? He turned and grinned evilly at me. Who the hell would you call? He asked with contempt obvious in his voice. I marshaled as much dignity as my answer would allow. My parents? He laughed out loud as we entered. Oh, they've already been notified. So that morning, my parents were awakened by a phone call from the police informing them that I had been detained for grand theft or accessory to grand theft. Suddenly, I had more to worry about than false accusations in the local constabulary. In the lobby, my friends were still processing through the front of the line when I called them over. They all refused to leave their places, not noticing the police officer standing next to me. I shouted and gestured for them to come to me immediately, and they sullenly left the line to demand what I wanted. Things took a grim turn when the officer's partner appeared out of nowhere. I flatter myself to think that he'd been hiding as backup in case I turned out to be as fierce and dangerous as I looked in my homemade pants and tunic and fringed boots. The officers began to question each of my friends in turn over the morning's events, while I paced in the corner of the lobby waiting for the trump of doom to sound. Each friend responded to their own natures. Joe was calm but annoyed. His brother Robert, a very wealthy pharmacist at the time, was far more annoyed and far less calm. My friend Jeff, a police officer himself in Vermont, seemed more amused than anything else, and the two girls were taking turns being monosyllabically responsive and explosively disrespectful. I just kept thinking about my parents. The officer, having exhausted his abilities to interrogate us in public, was left to pace as well as we waited for the primary officer from the jurisdiction of the alleged robbery to arrive. While we waited, he sidled over to me and confided, I don't think you did it, you know. I looked at him suspiciously, my fear of my parents having eroded a great deal of my fear for him. I think you didn't know what your friends were doing, but I know who did it. I quirked an eyebrow at the little official, a good sign in and of itself that my sarcastic eyebrow was back online, and asked who he thought had done it. He gestured to the far corner. It's either that tall guy with the mustache or the angry guy by the phone. I looked over into that corner, and in my first display of unalloyed backbone all morning, I snapped back, really? Because the angry guy could have bought the entire inventory of the stupid store with what he's got in his wallet right now and not worry about it, and the guy with the mustache is a cop. The officer scowled at me and spun away to continue his pacing. How long this period of hyper-aware tension lasted, I will never know. But 1 minute, my hellish nightmare reality comprised only the lobby, the two officers, and my 5 friends. And the next minute, my mother came barreling through the doors, eyebrows drawn down in focused anger, and hands clenched into fists at her side. She soared through the lobby like a guided missile, aiming straight at me, ignoring the police officers and my friends alike, and slamming to a stop with her face mere inches from my own. Did your friends do this? She demanded in a tight, whispered staccato. No, I said, confused by this tact. Are you sure? Things seemed to be shifting behind her eyes, while her anger was, if anything, intensifying. Yes, I'm sure, I said, trying to pour every ounce of faith I had in my friends into my own eyes. She nodded, took a deep breath, and slowly turned in place with all the grace of a well-oiled primary turret. When her gimlet gaze came to rest upon the primary officer, she stopped. Time stood still for a moment, and then she gave him her full broadside in a very loud voice. Do you know who these people are? They're military cadets. They're honor students. For God's sakes, this man is a police officer. The verbal assault went on, and the officer backed away in sudden fear as the preternatural fury of the she-bear suddenly was unleashed upon him at short range. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think... She wouldn't let him answer a single question before she rushed off onto her next charge, physically backing him up into the center of the lobby, to the amusement of all my friends and even, I think, his own partner. Just as it looked like she was going to begin to physically assault him, the door banged open again and my father came rushing in, a look of mild concern on his face, belied a little bit by the amused turn of his own smile. Judy, calm down a little. He's just... My father put a hand on my mother's shoulder, but she shrugged it off. Just what? Terrorizing innocent kids? Being a schoolyard bully with a badge? Proving he's an idiot? My father's grin widened, but he shook his head. He's just doing his job, honey. I'm sure it'll work out okay. My mother stopped, looked between my father and the officer, and then shook her head, moving off to check out my friend Joe and make sure he was okay, and leaving my father to stand with the officer and me. My father apologized for my mom in that way that men of fiery women have been apologizing since the first cave woman threw a rock at the cave woman living in the next cave. I felt a bit betrayed by his easy camaraderie, but I should have known better, as my father's always been more subtle in anger than my mother. So, officer, I seem to remember your name from somewhere. Did you ever direct traffic down on Canal Street? The officer looked uncomfortable at this angle of questioning, but nodded. I thought so. Well, congratulations on the new job. Patrolman must be quite a step up from directing traffic. It is. Now the officer's suspicion was palpable. Man. I remember seeing you guys out there on really cold days, like middle of a blizzard. Yeah, that job must have sucked on days like that. The officer just nodded. Say, what are the chances if you made a mistake, a really big mistake, that you'd end up back out there on Canal Street directing traffic? I don't think that would happen, sir. The officer looked annoyed and offended. Oh, that's good, because, everyone makes mistakes, right? Sometimes really, really big ones. And with a huge, toothy smile on his face, my dad moved off to stand by my friends, leaving me with a seething cop and a warm, happy feeling in my belly. Again, time seemed to slow to a crawl as we waited for the officer from Milford. My little friend was pacing once again. My parents and my friends were sharing seemingly funny stories that I lacked the perspective or inclination to share, and the officer's partner stood by the door looking bored. At one point, the officer muttered, "This is crazy, if I could get these kids downtown," at which point my mom, who had seemed to not be paying any attention to him and was all calm and friendly since her fiery arrival, launched a new salvo. What? What would you do? Beat him with a rubber hose? You think this is a GD movie, you moron? Again, my grinning father restrained her, and again, time slowed to a crawl. When the officer from Milford, my hometown, finally arrived, I'm afraid the story gets quite boring. He politely denied the first officer's offer to take us downtown and took me outside with my parents for a little privacy. Outside, he warned me gently before reading me my rights again. It wasn't nearly as shocking the second time, but it wasn't a whole lot of fun either. He then asked me if I had done the things my friends and I had been accused of, and nodded when I denied them all, noting it in a small notebook. Then he closed that, put it away, took a deep breath, and admitted to me that it was only the latest in a long line of false accusations made by the owners and employees of the moccasin shop. The clerks, seeing my strangely dressed friends, had followed them every moment they were in the store, leaving the rest of the building almost completely untended. Maybe someone else had gone in to steal a jacket or two, but how, the officer asked, could they have found 4 gaps in their inventory while my car was still in the parking lot? The officer told me I was free to go, that he was sorry this had happened, and that he was very sorry for the specific cop who had responded to the call and found me, as the guy was known to be a tool and just the kind of stereotypical small-town bad cop to give other cops a bad name. And that was that. My friends were just glad to eventually get into the event, having lost about 2 hours to the drama. My parents were completely satisfied in my vindication, and the police retreated to their respective jurisdictions. Only I was holding on to the stress long afterwards, completely incapable of enjoying the event, and left with a deep-seated hatred, rare in my personality in general, and doubly rare when its object is an authority figure, for the officer who had first apprehended me. In fact, I have promised myself that I would have the last laugh. And although no one knows it but me, and now all of you, I have. I have killed him, changing his name slightly but always keeping it enough that I would recognize it, so many times in my writing that I can't count them. And I'm holding out hope that someday I'll have a novel or some other wide-release medium so that someday, someone who knows him will read it or see it or hear it, recognize the name, and draw his attention to it. Someday. And there you have it. Stereotypes are bad, okay? Although in this story, some of them, as often happens, also happen to be a little bit true. And this story is one of the many reasons I think I have such a deep affection and appreciation for the way Indianapolis embraces GenCon and the many facets of gaming, which includes, for many folks, costumes. And this is for you guys who wanted me to know you often don't agree with me. Diversity in and of itself is not necessarily always a good thing, I don't think. But it can be, and society is richer for it undeniably, and richer for the tolerance and respect people from different walks of life can extend to each other. Just think of how dark and nasty the world would be if it were peopled only with moccasin shop clerks and jerk cops. I don't dress up anymore, but I'm very glad that there are places where other folks can do it without being judged or followed or arrested. And that's about all I have to say about that. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Achievement unlocked! You've made it to the end of another D6 Generation episode, the podcast whose humor has universally been acclaimed as not too horrible. Please let us know what you thought of the show by either emailing us at info@the d6generation.com or by posting in our official D6G episode thread at the top of the DACA discussions forum on DACA.com. If for some inexplicable reason you actually enjoyed this show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. See you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming.
The theme from Total Fangirl comes from the soundtrack of The Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, courtesy of Flying Frog Productions, and is a composition of Mary Beth Magalanes.
We've analyzed their attack, sir, and there is a danger. Should I have your ship standing by?
Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances.